You can pin messages. Oh, no. All right. Hey, good evening, everybody. Uneducated Economist here. So, let's see here. Got one of you. Wow, just one? Well, that's okay. Hey, man, how's it going? Went to the Chinese gardens today up in Portland. That was a lot of fun. First, who's here? Jason. Thank you for being here, Jason. Yeah, I went up to the Chinese garden today, and that was a lot of fun. The Chinese garden up in Portland, it's not real, like, extensive. It's probably, I don't know, I would guess maybe a half an acre or so, maybe not quite that much property. Has a nice big pond in it and a bunch of buildings, and it gives you that real Japanese or Chinese feel to it. And it has a bunch of koi swimming around in there, and they were like really cold, so they weren't moving around a whole lot. And then they had a nice little tea house, so we sat and drank the tea and just kind of enjoyed being in the garden area. So that was really nice. And then went to the Saturday market up there and froze our buns off up there at the Saturday market. But it was nice, kind of just cruising around through that, and then drove on home. Okay, 47 of you up in here. That's enough. So let's talk about the Federal Reserve strategy, because it seems that everybody out there has the same idea that the Federal Reserve is going to be reversing course just as soon as the inflation comes down. Hey, thank you very much for the super chat there. Oh, gosh, I can't hardly read this. What does that say? Market shift player? Thank you so much for the $2 super sticker. That's very kind of you. Hey, good evening there, all-nighter. But the Federal Reserve, everybody's kind of anticipating that the Federal Reserve is going to be reversing course just about as soon as the inflation comes down, and there's a lot of talk of the inflation coming down. There's even talk of deflation, and a lot of YouTubers are out there commenting on that. Now, I made a video, what was it, yesterday or the day before, talking about the average inflation rate, and gave a link to another YouTuber out there, Meet Kevin, and man, it was filled up. Like, the comments filled up with a bunch of people with a lot of negative talk about Kevin and some of the, I don't know, whatever stuff that's going on. Okay, I understand, like, but I wasn't really going for like anything that he has going on or issues or whatever that you might have towards him. I was looking at the information. That's really what I kind of look at. And I understand, like, where you get that information from means a lot, like the credibility of it. But again, like, I kind of just set most stuff aside on where the source is or who they are, look at the information, and then find out whether or not that information itself is valid. Now, who it comes from may not be somebody I appreciate or like, so whatever. I mean, I'm not saying that about anybody out there right now. I'm just saying that it good information could come from bad sources. Like, that's all I guess I'm getting at. But anyway, the strategy coming from the Federal Reserve. Now, this is something that really we have to take into consideration that nobody is really thinking about as far as the average inflation rate goes. Even the bond market, I feel, is getting this wrong, because they're pretty much anticipating that as soon as the inflation comes down to normal, that things are going to be reversing course and that the Federal Reserve is going to be dropping their interest rates. But I think that the pain is going to be setting in, and it's going to be sticking around for some time. Much like the idea that the Federal Reserve had screwed up by leaving the interest rates too low for too long and causing the inflation to be extra hot, extra long for an extended period of time, they're going to do the exact opposite on the other side and leave interest rates extra high, extra long for an extended period of time till they can get their average inflation rate to that 2%. Now, that is their strategy, but everybody seems to get to the idea, or sticking to the idea, that it's going to be a 2% hit on the target, and the Federal Reserve is going to be reversing course after that. But that's not the case. So anyway, I think that when I look at, like, a lot of these articles, this is what I think about, is that, are they considering what the Federal Reserve is really going to do? Because that's, I mean, it's in their statements, it's in their speeches, everything they were talking about prior to the pandemic. The things that they needed to occur within the economy are now occurring. I mean, you think about that speech that I like always refer to, the monetary policy for a low neutral interest rate world. I mean, he talks about the demographics problem. He talks about the low productivity problem. He talks about the low neutral interest rate problem. I mean, all these things got wiped out during the pandemic. And, well, I wouldn't necessarily get wiped out, but really got dealt with during the pandemic, and now here we are sitting in a situation in which that everybody feels that the Federal Reserve has lost control, but it's right in line with everything that they've been talking about this whole time. So I don't know. Like, that's what I get when I read these articles. What are you guys talking about? Let's see here. Autocorrect changed it to undeclared economist, and I thought that was funny. Oh. If that bill passes, that will restrict investors from buying real estate. The housing market might actually crash if nobody can buy, supply goes up, and prices come down. Yeah, we'll see. Me Kevin is a good ball, but a useful goofball. Oh, is a goofball. Yeah, well, I would trust All Nighter's opinion. That's for sure. Agreed, All Nighter. Hey, Jaws, what's happening? Yeah, and I'm not trying to, like I said, I'm not trying to argue one point or the other when it comes to Kevin's stuff. I mean, everything that I've ever seen out of Kevin, every video that I've ever watched, as far as the information and the things that I was looking for inside of the videos, I always thought was good stuff. So, anyway, I mean, everybody has their opinion. Good evening, Carmen. All right. Let's see here. Get down to the bottom here. Will you mean have? Let's see here. Sup UE 26 Gunter. Is that what it says? Gunter? Gosh, I need glasses, guys. Meek. Of course, I do have a light. Like, I park right here because there's a light right there that I can use to light up the screen or light me up so that I ain't sitting there on a dark screen. But it also blinds me. Okay, at this point, a black swan is the Fed's only way out. Well, I mean, yeah, and that's something I also think about. It's just like, okay, so what is it they're going to use? Because really, when you think about what it is that the Federal Reserve has for their monetary policies and the tools that they can use, I mean, what are they going to do, right? I mean, oh shoot, man, everything is going to come, crashing down because they just don't have the monetary, or they don't have the tools within their monetary policy in order to deal with the next downturn. So they're going to use this black swan event or something like that, which very well could be the case. I mean, this is a very likely scenario to come down. Like, a crisis scenario gives the Fed the room in order to produce like tools that they normally wouldn't be able to use, like unusual and exigent circumstances, being able to produce the special purpose vehicles. I mean, that, when I go back and tell that story, in fact, that's the story. I'm going to do I probably shouldn't say it now, but um, I'm working on doing a live talk, and I'm stepping down the roads of actually doing this thing, like putting together a decent live talk show that I could actually do just about any time. And I want to make it good, and I want to make it like 2 hours. And I really want to break down that special purpose vehicles and what happened during the pandemic, and how pretty much everybody has forgotten about these things and how they were used to bail out all the corporations. Now, I don't know, like, how many other people are actually talking about that, but I read hardly any articles talking about that situation. And it was really important. I'm drunk. Yeah, that's a bummer. All right. FTX like Enron. Okay. Did you see YouTube took down the most recent QTR podcast? And if you had $50,000 cash, where would you park it for the next 2 years? Uh, Dishes every day in the house, yeah. Um, $50,000 next 2 years. I don't know. For the next year, I would hold on to cash. After that, put it this way, I probably wouldn't move back into how long until he says until I read that comment, Cantillon effect. Um, I guess, like, with $50,000, I probably wouldn't do anything until I see the stock market be a place that I would be willing to invest into. And that is when corporate management's willingness to invest would take place. And though, according to Greenspan, that's when the spread between the 5-year and the 30-year occurs. So as that is the spread between those two maturities on the bond issuance, when those begin to spread, the yields on those, that, from what Alan Greenspan was saying, is a sign of corporate management's willingness to invest. So I guess if corporate management would be willing to invest at that time, then I guess I would be too. If you take a look at that right now, I believe that yield is negative. It's like a inverted yield curve between the 5 and the 30. I'm not positive on that. It was at one time, but it's very close to zero. So there's like hardly any spread, if any, between it if it isn't negative. So once that goes positive and starts to grow, then I'm going to invest into the stocks at that point. You know, I have a handful of stocks that I'll probably be picking out at that time. I'm not sure what those would be. The only thing I am investing in right now is Marlboro cigarettes and Anheuser-Busch, Altria. That's the only stock, and I don't buy much of it. I'm not trying to promote that thing by any means. I'm just trying to be clear on what I invest in. And I do a little bit of cryptocurrencies and physical metals, and that's about it. You know, there might be a couple of other long shot stocks that I might just throw a little bit of money at just because, but it isn't going to be much, and it would just be just to see what happens. I never really put more than like $50 a time at anything because I dollar cost average into everything I do. That way you don't really notice, you don't really notice any kind of loss when you do it that way. All right, 200 people up in here. So anyway, when it comes back down to the Fed strategy, that's really what I think about when I think about like what it is that they plan on doing into the future. And again, that's why I made the video that I did talking about the mortgage market, because I really think that scenario could play out. I mean, the Federal Reserve has said it in more than one place. I wish I could go and find a spot. I should do better notes and keeping track of these things. But more than once, the Federal Reserve and their officials have stated that they need a functioning mortgage market in order to have a functioning monetary policy. Now, I don't want to break down into the reasonings behind this, but I mean, ultimately, the mortgage market is probably like the number one place that everybody is going for a lifetime of payments into. Charlie's going by. I don't know if you can see it. Anyway, I'll put my arm down so you can. But anyway, when it comes to the mortgage market, they cannot have that thing freezing up. And that's the important part of this whole like strategy when it comes to like everything that the Federal Reserve has going on, is that they got to make sure that the mortgage market stays functioning. Now, whether or not the prices drop or rise or whatever happens, so long as there's an available loan out there for people to take if they want one, regardless of the interest rates or whatever, that's what the Federal Reserve is looking for, to make sure that it is not frozen. And that, I believe, is occurring right now. If you look, and people have argued with me on this one too, and whatever, I mean, this is my theory on it. I'm doing the best I can with the stuff that I am finding and the strategies that I'm coming up with. It is very hard to predict the cause and effects and the outcomes of these things that are taking place. But if the Federal Reserve was rolling over or buying up mortgage-backed securities, and the buying of mortgage-backed securities was rolling over people's mortgages from old debt into new debt, that was the production of mortgage-backed securities that gave the Federal Reserve the ability to buy them. And by buying those mortgage-backed securities, it made a huge demand for these things that caused the price to go up incredibly high and the yields to fall. That is what gave the interest rates on the mortgages such a low yield to it. Now, I tried to explain this to my wife, and I'm going to do it as, and I might oversimplify this, but really this is what it comes down to. When you go to take out a loan, you have a guy who, like, I went to my buddy Greg and I said, Greg, man, I need a loan. He says, okay, man. He went and found me a bunch of loans. He says, here's the loans that you're going to be able to get that you qualify for. I said, great. He takes those loans. Once I sign the deal, he takes that loan, he signs it or sells it to somebody else. That person who buys it eventually packages it up into a mortgage-backed security. So there's these different people who are in line going into the process of building a mortgage-backed security. And so when the person who is trying to build those mortgage-backed securities is trying to find the loans in order to put into those things, he goes to people like my buddy Greg and he says, hey man, I need a loan to build my package together so I can sell it, so I can make my money. Well, Greg says, okay, man. He goes out there to try and find the people who have like the ability to borrow money, and he tries to get them the best deal that he can in order to sell to this guy who's willing to buy that loan. And if the interest rates are low, then he's going to get that deal from him, right? So the lower interest rate he can get for that loan, the better for not only him, but his customer, and for the guy who's building the mortgage-backed security who eventually sells it off to the Federal Reserve. So if you can kind of get how all that stuff works, and like I said, that was really oversimplified on things because you also got mortgage servicers and other people who are involved in this whole process. But when the mortgages are being purchased by the Federal Reserve, when they're buying those packages of mortgage-backed securities, when they're buying those things up, that's driving the yields down. Now they're dumping those things out there, and the yields begin to rise. At the same time, they're selling, or they're rising at. Oh, geez whiz. At the same time they're selling those mortgage-backed securities, they're lifting the Fed funds rate. These are two different things that are happening by the Federal Reserve: the unwinding of the balance sheet, right? The selling of the mortgage-backed securities, or just allowing them to roll off if they happen to roll off, meaning that the people have paid off their debt, and that the mortgages are no longer there to pay. So that's one thing that they're doing, and they're lifting the Fed funds rate, which is essentially the effective fund rate, which is the rate that they want those banks to lend to each other on an overnight basis, even though they really don't do that much anymore since they're in an abundant reserve system. They've moved that over to the repo facility and the interest on excess reserves, which is an account held at the Federal Reserve. So the Fed has two things that they're messing around with. And I know all that was really complicated. I hope you all followed that. But those are the two things that they are trying to mess with. When it comes to the mortgage market, now I left a link in yesterday's video to a website that shows the mortgage-backed security issuance, and it is like a third of what it was a year ago. So if that mortgage-backed security market is diminishing, right? It's not just the Federal Reserve who buys mortgage-backed securities, although they were the bigger buyer out there printing up money and doing it. They're not there anymore. So the buyers of mortgage-backed securities, the real market out there, not the Federal Reserve, but everybody else, they're playing around with an issuance of a third of what it was. So you can imagine that the people who do buy mortgage-backed securities, the few out there, if they're buying into that diminishing pool of mortgage-backed security issuance, then what happens, right? It finds support at some point. And that's the reason why I feel that the mortgage rates have kind of gone stagnant, flat, as the Fed funds rates have continued to tick up. Is because that mortgage-backed issuance is diminishing. There's less houses being sold, and who would be rolling their old debt of anything over the past 20 years or whatever into one of these higher interest rates? Nobody. So nobody's refinancing. Well, I should say hardly anybody's refinancing, and there's not a whole lot of home sales taking place. And so what is that going to mean for the mortgage market? It's going to mean that there's going to be less mortgage-backed securities out there. So that's where I feel that the interest rates will eventually find support there. Now, I'm not saying that they're not going to go higher, and I'm not saying that more pain into the economy wouldn't cause those mortgage rates to go higher. I'm just saying that's the reason why I feel that they have gone stagnant. Okay. Now, if prices go down, right, which we are anticipating that the prices of homes are going to go down. We're going to set the mortgages out to the side for a second on the scenario. We imagine that the mortgage market is going to go down. Or not the mortgage, I'm sorry, the house prices are going to go down. If they do, there are buyers who are ready. I mean, think about like some of the things we have read about already, like Lennar selling out blocks of 5,000 houses at a discount to investors who are renting those things out because rental income is still up, right? Now, again, I have to think about like how many people are sitting on the sidelines just hoping and waiting and dreaming for a dropping of the housing market, and they're going into a depleted inventory. So where's the inventory going to come from, right? A bunch of people selling their houses because they can't afford to keep them anymore. Now, where is that going to come from? Unemployment rising. We haven't seen it yet. Once we do, we can start talking about the foreclosure rates, and then we'll talk about the rising of inventory. But this is the things that I think about. I mean, I look at it from a lot of different scenarios, not only from the mortgage market, but look at it from the home builders. Home builders aren't interested in building homes, but they have a bunch of backlog. So they're still in the game. They don't have to build a home right now. They can just complete a bunch of homes that they've already started, that they've been sitting on, that people are canceling and they got to finish, or whatever is happening. There's a backlog of homes. And now the supply chains are starting to free up, so those homes are going to get cheaper to complete than they once thought they were last year, right? I mean, this is the stuff that's happening. So I try to find the real reasons that we are going to have a housing market crash or a crisis or all the stuff that everybody says is going to take place. I'm not saying it's not going to happen. I'm just looking for the evidence of it. You know, there was a good show that, I really didn't need to be drinking coffee. I was watching this. You ever watch that show? I think it was called Taps. You know, where they were these ghost hunters, and they would go off and do a bunch of recording of evidence of like these like paranormal like experiences and stuff, and then they would try to disprove everything that they found to be like anomalies. Like if they had heard, you know, something, doors were shutting or noises were being made or whatever happened, they would find this evidence on their recordings or their videos or whatever it was that they had, and then they would try to find reasons why that occurred, and find, you know, and look hard for those reasons. And if they couldn't figure out one, they would say, hey, this is something that we couldn't disprove. And now that's the way like you should go about the economy. Don't just say, hey man, the housing market's going to crash because the interest rates are going up. That's it, case done. Money printer go burr, prices go up, case done, right? I mean, it's just like, look deep into it, figure out why, look at all the reasons. Is it going to be from, you know, the housing market of like home builders, inventory rising from foreclosures? Is it going to be, you know, what is it going to be? The rising of interest rates? They seem to stagnate now, you know, gone stagnant as far as the mortgage rates go. So this is the stuff that I think about when it comes to, you know, what's going to cause the next housing market crash, what's going to cause the next economic crisis. To me, it's going to be the real shortages that are going to be kicking in due to the lack of manufacturing. I mean, people don't really realize that that like the production of the world's production of stuff and sending it to the United States is how we have an economy. It's like we buy people's stuff from around the world and then sell it here in the United States. And this is our economy, is by borrowing from the world and then buying their stuff. It's like one way we get our U.S. debt out to the world is we just lend them, you know, is by lending them money. Let me see if I get this right. They borrow money, we lend money, and then we buy their stuff. So the U.S. debt market, the U.S. Treasuries, is the biggest debt market in the world, and foreign holders of U.S. debt is quite extreme. And when you think about the amount of debt that they hold in comparison to the amount of debt that they have issued in U.S. dollars, the U.S. debt market, or the dollar debt market, is just astronomically huge. And if all those debts came due at the same time, there is even remotely close enough dollars to cover all that debt, the dollar would skyrocket. So that's why a lot of people are like kind of misunderstanding, like even getting out of the dollar would cause the dollar to strengthen. You know, no matter what, I see the dollar strengthening from here. Whether we crash or not, it's still going to be on a strengthening cycle for a while. I mean, it's going to be beyond what everybody thinks the Federal Reserve is going to do. I mean, everybody thinks the Federal Reserve is going to reverse course as soon as inflation is coming down. It's not the case. It's not going to happen. Did I see a super chat up there? I did. Where was it? Right there. Hey, Kenny Gomez, thank you very much. I believe the interest rate is going down soon because the dollar is very strong. I don't. I think that the Federal Reserve is going to stick to the idea that they are going to inflict pain to households and businesses. They said it a while ago and they haven't said it since. So they've warned you, right? I mean, they said it like a couple of times and then that's it. Like there's no more talk about causing the pain. But they warned us it's coming, and there's no doubt in my mind that it's going to happen. All right, Jaws, thank you very much for the $4.99. Thoughts on what happens to the U.S. stock market when the USD loses its spot as the top dog? Also, are you paying more principal on your mortgage now or still cash? No, to be honest with you, Jaws, at 3.25%, I'm really taking on the idea that there's probably better places that I could go to than to pay off that debt. Even though I would have to get an interest rate above the 3.25, like beyond that, extremely. So like if you got an investment that pays 3.25 and you have a 3.25 debt, then you're like, that's neutral. You're not gaining anything by investing in a 3.25 investment, right? You got to have an investment that's way beyond 3.25 in order to make the principal payments be not worth it, right? To go towards the investment. Otherwise, paying the principal would make more sense, especially if you had a high interest rate towards it. But at 3.25, no, I'm not. What I am doing, and actually I used it up because I had some other things that I was paying, but what I am going to do is pay ahead again and pay out months in advance if I can, and do it that way instead. That way, if anything comes up and for whatever reason I have a loss of income or emergency or for whatever reason, I can skip payments because I am already paid out and months in advance. So that's going to be kind of my strategy towards it, as opposed to paying the principal payments. Um, I think that works, for me anyway, for the security kind of insurance purpose of it. But if other than that, no, I'm getting into cash because I think there's going to be buying opportunities coming into the future. I think it's going to be when everybody thinks that the Federal Reserve is about to reverse course, they're going to start diving into the markets, and they're going to find out quickly after that the Fed is not going to reverse course. And that's where, like, I think a lot of people are going to get like suckered in at some point, and it's going to be in like a year or two when this happens. But people are going to think, okay, this is it, it's over, the Fed is going to be done, they're going to be moving the other way, the cycle is changing, and it isn't, it just doesn't happen, right? And everybody's going to be like, oh crap, and then the stock market continues to go down or sideways or whatever happens. I don't know what it's going to do. All right. Robert Shields Jr., thank you very much for the $1.99. Higher rates create demand for dollars globally. Yeah. And eventually, like, higher rates do a wonderful job for the economy. I mean, it's one of the reasons why Volcker did it way back in the day. But you give it time, higher rates in the economy will pick up money velocity, right? As people begin to earn more on their capital investment, they can spend that capital investment back into the economy, and then, houses, cars, vacation, all that stuff gets spent on. So, the return on capital investment is really important to think about. That's why, like, when they keep dropping interest rates, it works it's like getting high. It really is. When you have low interest rates and then they stimulate the economy by dropping the interest rates when you already have low interest rates, it's like, it's okay because everybody's like, woohoo, yeah, let's party, right? And then you get really high and drunk, and then just party it up for a while. But then once it's all over, it's over, right? And then you're like, man, I'm all hungover and I got to work and I got to pay off all this debt, and you got all these problems with it. When you think about it the other way, it's nothing like getting high when you are saving and you are getting a return on your money. I mean, it is exactly like that. It makes sense in that sense. You don't have to like come up with an analogy or anything for it, right? You save money, and if you save money and you gain an interest rate off of it, the return on capital investment, the return that you get off of your interest rate, you get to spend more money into the economy, right? Yes, things slow down in the initial investment savings period, but give it some time, and eventually that return on capital investment starts to pick the money velocity up, and then into the economy you have production and all that other stuff that takes place with it. However, that's not what we're going to experience. Nope. What we're going to experience is something far different from that. We are going to experience a very slow economy that needs to be like injected with money through UBI and digital currencies and like negative interest rates, and all used in the name of helping the people out with a standard of living that everybody could live by or something like that. I don't know what the excuse will be, but that's more of what we're headed for. Did I get any more super chats? Man, look at all these comments. I am sorry, I'm skipping past all you guys. Robert Shields Jr., thank you very much for the $1.99. Meant to say more demand for investment in securities. Higher interest rates. Yeah, the only problem with it is you have to think about it in two ways, because a lot of, like, okay, there was a time when bond investors would look at gold investors and say, hey, you're buying a dumb asset, right? It doesn't do anything. It just sits on a shelf. It doesn't pay any kind of yield. It just, like, you're just planning on selling it for, a higher price into the future, right? That's a speculation. A bond purchaser back in the day, a bond investor would say, like, at least I get a yield off this. I get a return on my investment, right? I put my capital to work. So when you had the yields falling, right, that's less return of capital to the investor for buying those bonds. But what ends up happening is that if they have purchased bonds and the yields begin to drop, the interest rates come down, those bond prices begin to rise. And so they are able to sell all their bond portfolio for a profit. They become speculators themselves. And when you have the Federal Reserve promising to buy, like, we're going to buy up all these, mortgage-backed securities and treasuries and everything else, all of a sudden you have a bunch of investors going, whoa, you guys are going to buy those things up, huh? Create a huge demand for those things and the prices to rise and I can buy in and front run you. Awesome, right? So higher interest rates, as that starts to occur, as you purchase bonds and the yields begin to rise, your bond prices are falling. So your portfolio, if you buy $100 worth of bonds and the yields go up after that, then your portfolio of bonds, what you can sell them for, begins to diminish. Now, if you held on to it for maturity, like if you were planning on just holding on to it until it matured and then get your interest rates and all that other stuff, then you really don't think about it this way. But most people hold on to bonds and think about it in a sense that if they needed to liquidate these bonds, that they would be able to at least be made whole again and not lose money, right? Well, when the yields are falling in your bond portfolio, you can sell that at pretty much any given time and be able to profit from it. But when the interest rates are rising and you hold on to a bond portfolio, every time the yields go up or the interest rates are rising, what you can liquidate your bond portfolio is shrinking, right? And so now it just makes you have to hold on to it until maturity. And so basically it makes you stick to your investment or stick to your savings when that happens. So you have to think about it if you're a speculator or you're going to be like a long-term investor into it. That's the difference. Yeah. All right. Did I get any more down there? Yes, I did. Hey, thank you, Kenny Gomez, for the $5. Where do you see silver in the next 3 months? I would not get out of silver. I would say that, but I'm not a silver investor. I'm a silver insurance buyer, right? So I'm not a silver insurance. I buy silver for insurance. That's why I buy it. So when I think about silver and the prices, especially when you think about gold and what gold is, because gold and silver's like, an evil little cousin of gold. It moves much more, it has much more volatility to it. And when the prices, when it does move, it moves dramatically. So if it goes down, it goes down a lot. If it goes up, it goes up a lot. Now, when you have a critical situation like we were coming into, this is where I think like Brent Johnson's milkshake theory, it makes a lot of sense to me, because what Brent Johnson eventually gets into is that the dollar and gold could rise together. And now when you think about gold and the dollar rising together, that doesn't really make sense, because most people look at these two as inverse like kind of products, right? If dollar goes up, gold goes down, gold goes up, dollar goes down. And this is how most people kind of see it. But if you look at it on a world scale, because it's not just us here in the United States who are buying gold and silver and using dollars, the whole world does, right? And now the world has a idea of what it is that's going to take place with the dollar. They think that it's going to strengthen or fail, right? And now when it comes to strengthening or fail, some people think it's going to strengthen. They want to get in the dollar because it's better than their sovereign currency. They don't know where else to go, right? And so they also need to pay off their debts or get out of their dollar denominated debts or whatever it is that they got going on. They need to get a hold of those US dollars. So there's a strengthening of the US dollars that happens during an economic crisis or a world currency crisis or whatever's taking place. They're scared of their sovereign currency. Everybody wants to get into the dollar. But at the same time, everybody's scared of the dollar, right? There's this inflationary scenario that's still running across the world, and everybody's there thinking that the dollar is going to fail, and everything that's going with that is going to get abandoned, basically, that the world is going to get out of these dollars. Well, if that's the case, where are they going to go? Are they going to get into their sovereign currency or that they're already scared of, or some other commodity that, may or may not, succeed? They're going to get into gold. Gold is the traditional safe haven place to go to if it's not going to be a dollar, right? So it's going to be dollars and gold. Those who hate the dollar will get into gold, and those who hate gold will get into the dollar. It's just those are the two that will rise together. What else? Oh, did I miss a question there too? Something about like what will happen to the dollar if everybody gets out of it and to like the stock market or something. What's going to happen? At least from what I can best gather from the things that I kind of piece together and play out in my mind, my theory of it is that when the dollar does come into that, scenario where people are trying to get out of it and they are getting out of their dollar denominated debts, they're not taking on new debts, they're not doing anything but trying to get rid of the dollars. There's no place that they're going to be able to go except for the United States, right? Because everybody's getting out of it, nobody wants to touch it. Then that means there's only one place that's going to accept it, and that's going to be the United States. And so if everything comes pouring back into the United States, that would be the scenario in which it happens. But everybody has to get out of their dollar-denominated debts first. And now that scenario is going to cause the dollar to strengthen so much that people are going to like not understand what it is that's taken place. I mean, think about it. The Federal Reserve has referred to this as the global demand for their liabilities. And most people don't understand what that means, right? The liabilities is essentially the dollars they put out there and the world demand for it. I mean, think about it. Like when the world starts going into a currency crisis, a global currency, sovereign and corporate debt crisis, and how much dollar denominated debt exists in these outside of the United States. I can't even imagine the Federal Reserve being able to print up enough money to cover all that. It's going to be ugly, ugly as hell. And anybody who is in dollars is going to be blown away on how strong they have gotten. And everybody else who anticipated the hyperinflation scenario and got themselves heavily indebted is going to suffer. It's just the way it's going to go down. And otherwise, we're going negative in digital currencies and bailouts and all that other stuff that'll come from the Fed. Right? But that's the scenario that I see if it was going to be a dollar, like, if the dollar crashed, like getting out of the dollar, like the dollar is going to fail as a global currency. That's what I would see happen, right? But instead it's going to end up like, it's not going to go that way. It's going to end up going in like a digital currency, negative interest rates, UBI, all that stuff, MMT. Right? That's what's going to happen. Where? Oh, we already did that one. Okay. Wow. Look at all these. Okay. Jose. Hey, thank you very much. Jose's a cool guy. I met Jose. I hear soft and hard landing. What's the difference? Well, I think probably like the soft landing idea is that the unemployment will stay relatively low, that the asset prices will probably come down, but not dramatically, not like a crashing. You know, we've seen them rise dramatically high, and we could see them come down, substantially. But where it lands as far as like, you know, a return to normal, I think a lot of people might be like confusing the peak and a return to normal as a crashing. But it could even like, for a short time drop below like the what would be an average or normal pricing if you were to take out like all the exponential rise to everything. So I'm not trying to like predict any of that stuff. I'm just trying to say like that would be like what the soft landing would be like. A hard landing would be like what it's probably more likely going to be, and that's gonna be where things slow down very dramatically, where you see a very big rise in bankruptcies and corporate shutdowns, layoffs, just everything just like all the bad stuff you would typically see in a recession. It's just that they put the country in such a condition when they did this pandemic and the bailouts and everything. They really did what they said that they were going to do. Like if you go and look at that video that I had done, I don't know, probably about 4 years ago, talking about that speech, that monetary policy for a low neutral interest rate world. He said it right in there, and I even described it like they were going to let the house prices, asset prices go extra high in order to bring the interest rates up because they knew that they were too low, right? Because they wanted to raise the interest rates. And in order to do that, they had to cause the asset prices to go really high. And if they get the asset prices to go really high, when they do come down, because they lift the interest rates, they would come down to what would be a normal price. And everybody who bought assets in that little time period get screwed, right? They get screwed out of those the fact that they were going to do this, and that's exactly what they plan on doing, and they have started to do. So I don't know, like, I mean, I predicted that like in 2018, I mean, in prediction, I was reading it out of a speech. It wasn't a prediction at all. It was just stating their words. So anyway, let's move on. Okay. Hey, Andrew, it says, what do you think? Thank you for the $5, by the way. What do you think of the BRICS countries' new reserve currency, and do you think do you think that gold backed currency can be used by us to get around the central bank digital currencies? Um, okay, what you're going to find, I mean, I think it'll work. I think, anything that you can use anything as currency. I think it would work, especially if you use something that's really like legitimate, like gold, because then you get people's confidence behind it, because that's ultimately what it comes down to, is you have to have the people's confidence behind what is going to happen. And now if you think about like what would happen if you had a gold standard, right? And this is really where I think that a lot of people are not prepared to deal with this idea of having a gold standard, because what you're going to end up with is boom and bust cycles, business cycles, as concentration of money comes into just a handful of people, because you can only print up so much, right? You can't have an elastic money supply with gold. If you try to, you'll print up too much money, and then you'll have to take the gold standard out of things. But if you have like a gold standard, which I'm totally cool with. I mean, if we have a gold standard, I'm prepared to deal with that, right? But most people aren't. So what's going to end up happening is you're going to have these boom and bust cycles with businesses, as people are going to be loving the good times and going to be like in the money, like doing business, everything's going to get prepared, but nobody's going to be prepared for the bust cycle, which is definitely going to occur if you have a gold cycle, right? Or a gold system to it, because that concentration of wealth during the busy economic booming cycles is going to concentrate the wealth. Once it does, business ends, because there's not enough money out there to actually circulate amongst the people, and then that concentration of wealth falls and the redistribution happens and the business cycle takes off again. So I mean, as long as everybody's prepared to deal with that, cool, right? But nobody is. And everybody is going to scream at politicians and make them do things that are totally against their better judgment. And then, well, I don't even know about the better judgment. They probably do think it's all right, but against our better judgment, or mine anyway. And, you'll end up with, somebody who's going to say, hey, I can deal with this boom and bust cycles. All we have to do is create some paper currency during the bust cycles of things, or during the booming cycles of things, to create the elastic money supply. And then when the bust cycles start to happen, we can withdraw a bunch of this money, and there will never be a shortage of money in the system to make sure that all commerce can take place. That's why we can't have a gold standard, because everybody will bitch at politicians. That's why. Man, there's 471 of you up in here. Right on. Go hit the like button. There's only 172 likes. You got to be loving this live stream, right? Man, look at all these comments. There's another one. All right. Brandon Aries. Thank you very much for the $4.99. Learned so much from your channel. My wife, Megan, loves watching your content. Keep it up. Hey, well, thank you very much. That's what the whole point of this channel is about learning, and it's learning for yourself, because it doesn't matter who you're listening to out there. They don't know who you are, right? Man, I'm sorry, what was your name again? Brandon. Yeah, Brandon, they don't know who you are, bro. Like, they can be talking about what it is that you need to invest in, and all the, awesome things that you should be like, guiding your life towards. But they don't know you. They don't know what you're up to. They don't know what you need in your life, or the goals that you have, or the places you need to go, or whatever it is. I mean, it's up to you to figure these things out. And so when you figure out, it's like, I'm going to figure this out, how to do this course, and like, I guess the premise behind it is to make people economically aware, right? To be economically aware for yourself, to be able to read Wall Street Journal articles and not be confused by anything that's going on in it, or listen to the Fed statement and, and not misunderstand what it is that they're trying to say inside of it, but to totally get it. That's like the goal of this channel is. And, even my understanding of the economy isn't the same as what you probably understand the economy as. I mean, we all look at it differently. We all have to make these decisions for ourselves. And so I look at it what I think is the best for me and mine. I mean, you might have to look at it differently. And when it comes to, like, people say you should invest in real estate, or you should invest in stocks, or you should invest in, your own education or something like that. you got to you got to invest in what you're passionate about. Like if you're really into real estate, like you look at the prices of houses every day and you're talking to real estate agents and you're talking to mortgage lenders and you're talking to other real estate investors and you're talking to landlords and all that other stuff, and you can't help but to think about it from the time that you wake up to the time that you go to bed, I think you should probably invest in real estate, man. I think that's probably your game. I mean, that's what you should do. I like the idea of investing in real estate. I'm very cautious about it. It's not necessarily in like a passion of mine. What I feel like is a passion of mine, or something that would be a passion of mine, is getting out on stage, is to speak in front of people, is to, you know, like even acting. I loved doing the plays and doing that. Calling bingo is one of my favorite things in life, is to have a Sunday night where I get to forget about everything out there and call a bunch of numbers and tell jokes and laugh with people. I mean, that's the type of stuff that I want to do with my life. Like being a hardcore real estate like investor or landlord, like lumberjack landlord does. Like, I mean, that dude is like, I mean, you listen to him. I mean, that dude is passionate about what he does. I mean, he is the real deal. So, like if you have that kind of energy towards something, yeah, I think you should follow it. I think that's what you go towards. All right. Boom, Kenny. Thank you very much for the $20, bro. Keep putting content on your channel is excellent. Thank you for your content. I started when you had 50,000 members. Thank you. Well, thank you, Kenny. I really appreciate it. And guys, like, I mean, I'm trying to figure out what it is I need to do, because I need to take this channel to the next level, do something bigger, right? And I don't know exactly what that is. I'm testing the waters on a few things to figure out what it is that I really need to focus my energy towards, but I got to take this thing up to the next level. And part of that, I think, is to like, I don't know, do some sort of like workshop kind of thing. Where like I can do like more individual discussions and like help people figure out like what it is that they need to know, what it is that they don't know, right? I mean, because that's what it comes down to. I mean, I try to do that every day, try to figure out what it is that I don't know. And I think that's kind of like what the next level is. I've been talking about the book. I have an idea. I think I got the first chapter knocked out for this book. We're just, trying to work on that a little bit. And if that goes over well, maybe I'll pursue that a little ways. Courses is another thing that I've been working on. And these are all different samplings of things that I really want to try out to see what it is that I need to do in order to bring this channel up to the next level. So if you got any ideas, I would love to hear them. Send me emails. I get a lot of people who do email me, and I try to respond to everybody's emails. I've lost, like, I mean, you got to understand, I'm just myself, man. So I got like a lot of stuff, and I don't mean to complain about it, but I mean, I do get bombarded and overwhelmed with things at times. So I do try to communicate with everybody on a regular basis as much as I can. But if I was to be in communication with every single person who has ever emailed me or sent me a message, I don't think I would ever stop texting people. Like, I think I could do it from now on. Like, that's it. So I do appreciate everything that comes in, and I'm not trying to say don't send me the emails, because I do appreciate them. I read everything that comes through. But don't take offense if I don't respond to it. I do probably mean to respond to it, but I got so many that have overwhelmed me. I may have just forgotten about it, or just thought I did respond to it or something like that. Again, I don't mean to make up excuses. It's just that's kind of what I'm at right now. All right. Cool. I'll take a book. Take a look. Take a book. What does it say? Take a look. Okay. God, take a book. Yeah, whatever. Give me the ideas. Okay, next level, move your stream to a studio. Yeah, I'm going to do that. They are now, one of the things when I got my house, I did not think about. I made sure that I had good cell service where I bought it, but I didn't think about like the internet connection out there, and it sucks, right? There's no internet, there's no real decent internet where I live, but they're bringing high-speed internet out there, and they should have it out in the next few months. So I was going to go Starlink, but I backed out on that one simply because I missed the initial sign up, and so I'm like, oh well, I just backed out of the whole thing and thought, well, maybe I'll sign up for it again. But then I heard they're going to bring the high-speed internet out. So anyway, Studio's going to my house. I have a place to do it. I will build it up. And I thought it would be better to do like the interviews inside of a studio as well. Bro, all you sell is chaos. What? All I sell is chaos? Okay, whatever. I do believe the dollar milkshake theory will occur. Yeah, I do too. Um, and your studio chair should be a truck seat. Yeah. Well, one of us is right. Okay. There's dudes with 50K subs that are in studios. Yeah. Well, listen, guys. There's most people who are talking economics and have a YouTube channel. They didn't start off like $20,000 in debt with no idea of what it is that they were planning on doing, but they started a YouTube channel because they were just simply interested in economics. And when everybody said, don't change a thing about what you're doing, I haven't. I mean, I started the channel on a used iPhone 6 that I bought for $100. I did all the research, every upload, everything I did, I've done off of a cell phone. Very, very few things that I had to use an actual computer for. And everything I built off of was right here in this car or the truck or the Suburban or whatever vehicle I happened to have at the time. I mean, this is how I've done it. Now, one thing that I can honestly say for it is that it's kept it simple for me. And simple's easy, right? All I have to do is just turn on my camera, I make a video, I upload it. That's it. And I think keeping it simple is the reason why the success of this channel has been as good as it has. It's kept me focusing in on just what it is that I needed to focus in on, what it is I was going to say, and that's it. So once I start moving it to a production style stuff, I'm not gonna. It's gonna be a different frame. It's gonna be a different energy that goes with it. I have to be aware of that and know that if I do something like that, then I'm gonna have to be aware that the style of this of the whole channel will change with it. You know, a lot of people kind of look at YouTubers when you have 100,000 subscribers and they say, "Oh man, you're rich and famous," right? A lot of people don't think about like how at 40, like the channel has only been popular for the last 2 years, right? When lumber took off, the channel got popular, right? And I mean, luckily for me, I happen to be as immersed in the lumber industry as I was able to talk it better than anybody else out there and predicted the lumber industry better than anybody possibly did, right? I mean, even better than the professional traders and everybody else out there. I mean, I mean, I don't mean to brag about it, but I was by far the best one at it, right? And I didn't use that information to make a bunch of money off of it. I mean, I did when it came to the YouTube channel because it was so popular, but that's the only thing I did. I mean, I wasn't trying to use that information to make money off of it. If I did, I probably wouldn't have been able to predict the market as well as I had. So, when it comes to this channel and in what I plan on doing for it, when I started, getting some decent, ad revenue coming in, I paid off my debts, right? I put a huge down payment on a house. I have done some things that I am trying to do to try and make up for lost time. I mean, there is not like, I mean, I've had people come to me and say, "Yeah, I heard you have like $2 million now," and I'm like, I laugh so hard over that. I'm like, I don't even remotely have like, I don't even have like, I'm not gonna say like how much money I have, but it's like it made me laugh so damn hard. It was just like, dude, I think you have more money than I do. I don't know why you would come to me and think I have millions for some reason. I mean, if I had millions, I certainly would not be driving this Corolla. I mean, I would go get me the Camaro, but I don't have millions, right? I hope to someday. But the point of all that is that the moment that I try to make money with this channel, like when I really try to just like, okay, I'm gonna focus in on making money on this channel, the videos suck. They suck big time. And you can really see it towards the end, like about 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, because it was coming towards the end of the month, right? And I could see it happening. Like I was just like, man, I would really like, you got like this particular number that you have in mind that you want to see, like you want to get in ad revenue, right? You want to achieve this, like you have this goal in mind. And you're like, oh man, I think I'm going to fall short of that. And so I pushed out a bunch of videos towards the end of the month. And I went back and I kind of looked at those and I'm like, man, those are shitty videos. Like I didn't do a very good job on them. I was just kind of pumping out just stuff, and that's the way it felt when I went back and I watched them, because I was like, I was trying to look, I was thinking, man, what happened here? I didn't, it just didn't feel right. And I went back and I looked and I'm like, yeah, that's what happened, man. You weren't focusing in on the information. You were thinking about other stuff. You need to get right back in the frame of mind that you had started the channel with. And that was just putting out good videos, talking about the stuff that you believed was going to happen, what you are finding in the economy, and talk about that kind of stuff. Don't put out videos so you can make money at it. The money will come. Just do good videos. And so that's the frame that I want to be in, right? And so if I start changing things, like if I put it in the studio, if I try to, even the interviews have kind of shifted things a little bit, because now I'm trying to find different people to do interviews with, and then try to find the questions, and like maybe watching some of their content to find out what it is that would be the best questions to ask them, or find out more information about, like, because of their particular expertise or anything. I found myself starting to not like necessarily focus in on the economy and my theories, but more focusing on like maybe other people and what it is that their theories are, so that I could ask them the appropriate questions. And again, like that starts changing my frame and what it is that I wanted to put out for my own videos. So I got to be aware of that stuff when it happens. I like talking to you guys. It's like talking to myself, talking out, talking things out here. All right, Jose. Sorry, man. Jose, love the Freddie $50 bill story. Is he at $100 yet? I'm not gonna say, but dude, he's doing quite well. And I get it. Like I'm like, dude, you do realize you're 8 years old. How is it that you're not, like, how is it you're saving money? Like, I don't even understand. You got some Christmas money, right? So anyway, he's doing good at it. I'm pretty impressed with him. All right, MSW, thank you very much for the $5, man. Good evening, Astoria. Good evening. All right. Hey, Kenny Gomez, thank you very much for the $10. Write a book, bud. Teach my son. He is 14 years old. Okay, well, that's who I got calling me right now. Yeah, that's kind of what I'm working on right now. I'm still like, again, I got to get in the right frame for it, but I am working on something like that. And if I do get this project, which is something I really want to do, if I can get this project up and off the ground and done right, I will definitely share with you guys the, everything that I'm doing. So, and part of that is doing courses, trying to understand for yourself how this system works, so that when you start conducting your life, and you're watching how the Federal Reserve is doing things, when you're watching the economy, you're making the right decisions for yourself, and timing things right, or whatever. I mean, people are so clueless when it comes to the economy. It's like, somebody asked me the other day, it was just like, they said, well, what do you think is happening, or whatever. They kind of left me a real generic question like that, a real open one. And I was just like, well, I don't know. When the Federal Reserve goes to lift the Fed funds rate and stuff, and immediately like glazed over, boink, like a deer in the headlight, had no clue of what I said. I was just like, I hadn't even started yet. I was just talking about, the idea of the Fed funds rate and the lifting of it. I mean, this is like the main topic of the economy right now. And they had no clue of what I meant by Fed funds rate. And I'm like, well, I guess that's that. I can't really, like, I need to go back so far to give you an opinion on what I have going on. I just tell them, it's going to be bad. That's what it's going to be. It's going to be bad. All right, 423 of you. Go hit the like button, please. I don't care if you do. I do care. I shouldn't say that. I care. If you hit the like button, what it does is it gets the algorithm to spread the video around YouTube more, and then more people start coming into the chat, and we get more comments. So that's why I asked for the comments. Otherwise, I never ask for comments. I mean, I do ask for comments. I never ask for likes. Sorry, guys. because I really want to know if you guys like the video. If you don't like the video, don't like it, right? If you do like the video, I do appreciate if you like it. Because when you like the video and I can see that you're liking the video, it lets me know that I'm doing a good job on it. If you don't like the video, I want to know about that because I want to know if if I have a video that you guys don't like. I mean, it says a lot to me. And I mean, literally hit the thumbs down button if you don't like the video. I mean, it works just as good for the YouTube algorithm because it's all about engagements. And again, it lets me know when I'm doing a good job or not. So, but when it comes to these live streams, it's about getting the algorithm to spread the video around. Okay. Thank you very much. Who is this? Anis and Krill? $40. Thank you very much. Merry Christmas. Get the boys some sushi. Hey, we went and got sushi today at the mall. We were at the what was it? The Jensen Mall? And they had like the sushi place with the conveyor belt, and the boys loved it. So yeah, we ate sushi there. It was good. Oh man, look at all these comments. Jeez, just trying to find the super chats. Okay. DC, thank you very much. Sell a PDF book on Payhip. Real easy. I sell PDF investing books like Margin of Safety by Seth Klarman. I over 200 investing books. You sold over 200 investing books? I see. What is that? I don't know. I over 200 investing books or on finance. That's an idea. He's a troll. Let's see here. Is there any other questions in here now that I've gone through? Did I get all the super chats? Did I miss anybody all-nighter? Banhammer is ready. Timeout. Hammer will come first. All right. Game changer here. Chat CPTI. Open area. Everyone. Many careers. Okay. When you did the deflation video, I just started writing. I forgot how well versed I am in that topic. Huh. Anyone here brave enough to buy New York or NYC stock? Economic crisis builds character. Let's get up here a little ways. Bang. Federal Reserve strategy is federally reserved populace underserved. Huh. Thoughts on XRP? Okay. I don't know. I mean, I really don't have thoughts on XRP because I cannot find anything within the Federal Reserve statements anywhere that says XRP. Now, I asked somebody to send me some information where they could find where the Federal Reserve, not some like buddy talking about the Federal Reserve, but the Federal Reserve itself, whether it came from the Fed or coming from a Federal Reserve official stating it, talking about XRP. I just want to hear them say the words, right? XRP. I don't even care whether or not they say they're going to use it. I just want to hear them talk about it, right? Now, I've heard them talk about digital currencies. I've heard them talk about things that are very close to the description of XRP. I've heard them talk about stable coins. I've heard them talk about central bank digital currencies. I heard them talk about all kinds of stuff. And when I did ask for information about it, I didn't get it. I got some stuff from the Federal Reserve talking about the digital currencies, but didn't name XRP, not that I found specifically. So when that happens, I will give you a belief within the XRP. Until then, I just find it as much as anything else out there when it comes to the cryptocurrencies. I mean, I buy Bitcoin, but it's it's a speculation straight up, right? I mean, that's it. That's all that there is to it. And as far as the central bank digital currencies go, whether that ends up being XRP or XRP is used for the international banking transfers, interbanking transfers, whatever, that very well could end up being the case. I ain't seen the evidence of it yet. Now, I've seen other people show evidence that the Federal Reserve is going to be part of this game, or the central banks are going to be using it, or the IMF is going to be doing it, and all that other stuff, but I haven't seen it straight from them that they're going to be using it. So maybe I'm missing it, right? But everybody else talks about it, and they have really good evidence that talks about it, but not from the Fed, not from the IMF, not from the BIS, not from any other source that I could find that would name it to be, yeah, there it is. That's the official thing that's taken place right there that's going to include it. Haven't found it yet. But not saying it won't come. I'm just saying I ain't seen it. All right. Lennar homes are starting to be everywhere. Yeah. I have a lot of XRP. I have some info. If you're requesting, I am not. Okay. I am requesting info that says from the Federal Reserve anything that has anything to do with XRP. I don't care if it's good, bad, or ugly. I just want the Federal Reserve, their words, and the XRP. That's it. Like, I don't care after that, right? I mean, I don't care what they say about it. I just want that little piece of information. If you could email that to me, I'd be great. Because then I would have something I could build off of, but I can't find it, so I can't build off of it, right? All right. Please talk about getting sober for all of us. It will help some people, if not a lot of others. Okay, I mean, I do like talking about that particular subject because it is dear to me, right? I mean, it's something that I had to go through in my life, and once I did get, kick that habit, and it took a long time, and I'm still like actually dealing with it. So, I mean, I haven't drank in years, like I don't even know, 7 years or something like that. But it's a struggle every day, and so I know that even though people may have been like, I've given it up, or they might like, hey, I gave it up, 5 months ago. Best thing I've ever done. Never felt greater, and you don't. I know your life is changing, man. It's gonna feel great, but you do have. I mean, and if you're like me, and it was a long time, and you were in depression and all the other stuff that goes with that, there's a lot of stuff that you need to deal with. And if you just get angry like I did, and you just quit, and you think, man, I'm on a pink cloud, awesome things are happening, I'm just gonna roll with life, it's gonna be so great, and you don't deal with a lot of those issues that you had, you're going to find that they come back to haunt you later on, and it's not easy to deal with, right? And so when it comes to quitting drinking, it's important to understand how it is that you're going to do that. And quitting cold turkey, I mean, I did it. It's not like impossible to do it. I know a lot of people who have. Well, I don't know a lot of people who have, but I know people who have done it without any other help from anybody. But I can honestly say that my wife went through all the stuff, right? All the treatments, all the meetings, all the other stuff. And there's no way that I did not pick up residual effects from that, right? So as she was going through it and then talking with me, I was picking up a lot of what she was going through as far as the meetings and the rehab and all the other things that went with that. So I was lucky in that sense. Most people who quit cold turkey don't get that. They don't ever have that kind of ability to have somebody who's at least somewhat there to coach you along. Which was now that I think about it, was instrumental in actually the success of it all. But when it comes to quitting drinking, there's no more better suggestion that I could offer up than to find the meetings, right? To find the rooms. And AA is like, has this stigma on it, every kind of cult thing, whatever. I've been to the meetings. It's not that way, man. I mean, it's not that way at all. Once you get there and you understand what it is that's happening there, and you understand that talking this stuff over really helps, right? You're gonna find that the path to sobriety is actually a pleasant one, and it's boring, and you're gonna have to deal with the boringness of it, right? Because that's definitely part of it, but that's part of what they talk about and how to deal with that. And meetings, like, man, there's like 3 of them a day here in Astoria or something, so you can never be bored. There's always places, there's always a meeting that you can go to, and so boredom really isn't the case anymore. And that's how you kind of get through it. Once you do, man, you realize that how much it drug you down, like how much because a lot of people don't realize when you, like, even me, right? So I drink coffee every day, right? Every day, and I drink a lot of it. Like, here it is, it's late at night, I'm drinking this cup of coffee. I got to be up in the morning to go do an interview, right? But I'm going to be drinking coffee here, like, after I get home. I'm going to crash out if I can. I'll be rolling, tossing in bed. It's probably one of the reasons why I don't sleep at night. And then I'll be up first thing in the morning. First thing I'm going to do is drink more coffee, right? So I'm in a caffeine-based based consciousness. I mean, that's just all there is to it. I mean, I am like have caffeine rolling through me all the time. And when I don't, I immediately go for it, right? As soon as I wake up, like immediate withdrawals right to the coffee. And then that keeps me in this caffeine based consciousness, right? So I know my thoughts and the things that go with it, my actions or everything, even the way I behave, all has this caffeine kind of thing going on through it. Well, even if you're not physically drinking the coffee at the time, right? It's been hours since you had a cup. It doesn't matter. It's still the same consciousness, right? So that's what happens when you're drinking, right? So you may be at work, you haven't drank for hours, you didn't drink since the night before. You're still in a conscious, alcohol-based consciousness. And as soon as 4 o'clock rolls around, you know it because you're going to be dreaming about drinking the beer, right? And then as soon as you get off of work, you crack the beers and you're right back into alcohol again, and then you fill that up again, and then next thing you know, this is the way you live. And now every thought, everything you're doing, all your behaviors, all have an alcohol-based consciousness to it. Just like this caffeine has a caffeine-based consciousness to me. And that's what you got to understand. Once you see that and you recognize that's the reason why you make all these piss poor decisions and your life is shitty, that's when you realize, okay, I got to get out of the coffee. Yeah, I'm already the caffeine-based consciousness, the alcohol-based consciousness, or the weed-based, or whatever it is you got. All right, was that enough? All right, fasting and detoxing is good. I haven't done the fasting thing. I have detoxed where I just went like like I drink only water and eat like just vegetables and stuff like that, like go vegan for a while and try and like do like a detoxing cleansing thing. Um it's okay, right? I feel a little bit better for it, but I am straight up meat eater, so I love like steaks and chicken and all the other stuff that goes with it, and I'm not gonna have a diet that doesn't include it. So, UE, do you think the federal government will shut down in January? Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised. They shut down government all the time, so that part I wouldn't be surprised by. I mean, I don't want to say all the time they shut it down, but it's shut down in the past, so it wouldn't be a surprise to me to see it shut down again. Of course, it'll only be parts of it, and people will be furloughed, and then they'll all get their money back again. I think the bigger question really will come is like, what kind of push, pull, shove, debating crap will go with it. That's the stuff that I just don't really care about, and I'm not going to pay attention to any of that. I'm going to pay attention to the Federal Reserve and where it is that interest rates are going on, bond yields and mortgages, not necessarily to like what the numbers are themselves, but the direction that they're headed. Only because the government already lies to us about what all these numbers are. So I think it's more about the direction they're headed and not necessarily about the exact number themselves. Yeah. Somebody was asking me about that. Like they couldn't find the video that had done. It's FASB 56, FASB 56, legal lies. If you type that into like the search engine, it should pop up pretty easy. I'm like one of the only people who was talking about FASB 56. Catherine, what was it? Catherine Fitzgerald? What's her name? Catherine Fitzpatrick. I can't believe I can't pull this one out right now. She was the other one who did an extensive video on FASB 56, much more extensive than I did. It was a kind of a more of a deep dive, and she had put that out right around the same time. In fact, I think she put it out like a week before I did my video. But she had done a pretty good one talking about it as well, and you should find that if you type it in. But yeah, pretty much after that, I was just like, I was so bummed when I kind of came to that idea. It was just like, man, so all these graphs, all these charts, all these numbers, all this stuff that people talk about, it's all like bogus. It's all like, it's all made up numbers just for us to kind of, I guess, talk about. I don't know. So, I mean, I'm not saying that, I shouldn't say that they're all fake, but they have admitted that they may not be real. Like, they said it, like, we're going to show you numbers that you can use for your investment purposes, retirement, portfolios, for all the economic purposes that you would typically use these for are going to still be sound, but we can't show you the real numbers for for national security reasons. And I'm thinking that's that. I mean, legal lies, whatever. I don't need it anymore. I don't need to know what the numbers are. I just want to know which way they're going. Yeah. All right. Yeah, Catherine Austin Fitz. That's it. Thank you. Yeah. Okay, Simon, you are unreachable anymore. Take care and good luck paying 30% over melt. Wait till you sell. Wait till you sell. I've never sold anything. No, wait a minute. I did trade some silver for a car, but I've never sold anything. I tried very hard to reach you. I give up. What are you talking about? What do you mean you tried very hard to reach me? What's your name? A you bad? Abad? Abad the? Take good. Alright. You took out the loans for school you knew it was going to cost. Why should I have to pay for it? Seriously though, UE, let's have a drink. I will drink some of they have some really good non-alcoholic beers now. And a lot of people said like, the non-alcoholic beers or pretend beers or whatever, pretending to drink, that's triggering. I don't, not for me. It isn't triggering for me at all. Like, I don't look for the buzz out of the beer. I really actually enjoy the taste of beer, especially coming from the Pacific Northwest. I mean, before I quit drinking, I mean, we have a lot of beer up here. I mean, it's just like insane. Everybody brews beer, even if they don't drink it. I'm just kidding. Like, not everybody, but there's a lot of people who brew up here. And so, like, beer's a big deal. Anyway. I don't want to talk about it anymore. Gross. Okay, I sell and buy 2 decades, and I sell and buy for 2 decades and work for one of the largest smelters in America. Okay, bro. Don't call. Email me and put that in there. Put I work for the largest smelters and send me an email, uneducatedeconomist@gmail.com. I'll look for it tonight, all right? And then we'll talk, and then I won't miss it, all right? What I miss? LM, all kinds of stuff. All right, you smelt fishy. I work 12 hours today. Time for sleep. Good night, brother. Okay, Yummy Bear. Sounds like trying to make sales in UE cast. Yeah, probably. Okay, will do. All right, man. Cool. Your thoughts on this 80 trillion they can't account for, along with the 2 trillion missing from the Pentagon balance sheet and the consequences? No, no, I don't know, man. I mean, it's like it's all a bunch of political crap that I just really again, I don't pay attention to any of that stuff. I mean, is it fair? Is it right? Is it all that other stuff? No, man. It's a bunch of crap that isn't gonna other than pissing you off, I don't know what it's gonna do to change the outcome of anything to know about like all this stuff or to who to blame it on. I mean, I've done given up on politics. Like all the stuff that's gonna occur in the economy is going to occur regardless of what the politicians do. The only game changer to this might be the central bank digital currencies and the ability to take interest rates into negative territory. I mean, that's the more important part. The politicians, I don't, whatever. Like, I mean, I'm tired. Um, I don't know. Like, I don't find them useful into any of my strategies or predictions or anything else. I find them noisemakers and intrusive and like more of like confusing, especially if you try to take in some of their political thoughts into the economic behaviors. Like how many times this is one of the scariest things that I think I've heard somebody say when with my understanding of politics and then now my understanding of economics, when I separated the two to try and get a better understanding to be more economically aware, whatever whatever I'm going to try and spread that around with. But what the one thing that kind of scares me that I hear people say is that I am going to wait until I see what vote outcome, like whatever political outcome. I'm going to see how the vote sways. I'm going to see whatever happens before I make my decision on what I do with my money, right? That right there is probably one of the scariest things that I think I've heard people say. Because if they are doing that, they are probably going to be making piss poor economic decisions because they are basing it off of a political decision, off of dipshittery. All right? That's what's happening. They're basing their economic decisions off of dipshittery. Hey. Just saying hello from Central Pennsylvania. Only thing I found to do with my money I'm 100% confident about is pay off all debts. Oh, yeah, for sure. Zero regrets. Not sure what to invest in right now, though. Um, okay, I'm not a financial advisor, but I would say getting out of debt was your number one best thing that you could have done. Um, I stay out of debt. Like I racked up a little bit of credit card debt doing Christmas and stuff like that. I paid it all. Like I was just like, okay, I'm gonna get out of that. So being out of debt is probably like the number one thing, staying out of debt. And then like right now, I mean, again, I'm not a financial advisor nor I'm trying to tell you what to do or anything like that, or would I suggest anything that you guys do. But if it's me, I'm sitting in cash. I'm gonna sit in cash at least until everybody anticipates that the Federal Reserve is going to be reversing course like in 2023. That's when I'm going to start watching because I imagine that's when the stock market's going to be very low. I might even start dollar cost averaging at that point. Like everybody's going to say, hey, the inflation's come down. The Federal Reserve is screwing us on purpose by keeping interest rates high. When you hear people saying that, that's when I'm just going to start dollar cost averaging into the stock market. When the spreads begin to rise between the 5-year and the 30-year, that's Alan Greenspan's suggestion of when corporate management's willingness to invest, that's when I'll start heavily investing into the stock market. What I'll be investing in, I don't know. But that's my strategy going from right here. This debt-based system cannot have a balanced budget. You're right. You're absolutely right. And nor will it ever. There is no fixing. That's the other thing. People say, "How do you fix this?" There is no fixing it. Don't even think about fixing it. Don't think about a solution to the problem. It's not a solution. It's a matter of how you deal with it. That's the problem, right? Is how you deal with the situation, not how you fix it or how it's going to get, solved by, doing something or the other. That's not the point of it. The point is to figure out what it is that's happening so you can conduct yourself. Like if things don't go your way, then what are you going to do, right? You're going to be like, oh shit, they ruined my strategy because I was hoping it was going to go this way. Don't look at it like that. Look at it for what it is and try to conduct yourself within that, Despite pricing coming down, OPEC will cut. When they say left, I go right. Well, that's it. When everybody's fearful, you get greedy. When people are greedy, be fearful. I mean, it was one of the reasons why I was for one, I truly believe it. But the other one, it was because so many people were just so adamant about the money printer go burr prices go up, and they had no other way of looking at it that I was just like, oh, there are so many different things that you should look at, like a supply chain breakdown, right? So I mean, sticking to the adamant belief that if it is that, right? If it is that, and we learned from George's video the other day talking about deflation that, just because the money printer go burr doesn't mean that money goes into circulation, right? A lot of it just ends up as reserves on the big banks' balance sheets. And so anyway, understanding like how the economy works and why things happen the way they do is really more important for your economic decisions that you make. It's not the political outcomes of stuff, right? That's not nearly as critical, right? I mean, it is in the sense if you want to be like a day trader or something like that and you want to make money off of like market moves because you can get the market to move off of political decisions and thoughts and stuff like that. But the overall long-term economic events like the manufacturing of the United States diminishing, right, and trying to come back through political events not working, right? It's not going to work. It can work for a little while, but it's only with force and manipulation can it ever last. these are things like that are typical for the economy. They have cycles to them, and no matter what political atmosphere you happen to be in, some of these cycles are going to continue. That's why when people like point the finger at this administration or that administration and say this is your fault, again, that's like you're making your decisions based off of political outcomes, and it's not that. It's economic events that are giving the politicians the ability to behave the way they do. Uh, Uh, Freddie left you $5. Thank you so much. Glad someone else dumped politics after 2012 when Ron Paul, who had the delegates, got screwed by the Republican Party. Merry Christmas, thanks. Yeah, I totally agree. I absolutely agree. When I saw Ron Paul got screwed by the Republican Party out of all the debates, he was pretty much blackballed. Mainstream media blackballed him. The Republican Party blackballed him. He was super popular at all the debates. When he spoke, the crowd screamed. I mean, it was like he would have nailed it if he was given the time, right? If he was given the mainstream media time and the Republicans gave him the voice, he would have smoked them all. He would have done it. But you know how it goes. This country isn't built that way. This country's built off of secrecy and selected few, those who are put into place, not the ones we want. All right. Please say hello to all the U.S. or all us watching. Oh, there we go. All of us watching in frost-proof Florida. Ooh, yeah. In fact, I'm gonna have to roll this window up right now because it's starting to get a little chilly outside. I don't think it's quite freezing yet, but no, it's not freezing yet. It's still wet out. We built the city on rock and roll. Yeah, we did. Was there another? I'm putting my money into hard assets like real estate, cash flowing real estate. Yeah. Long-term wealth when the water clears. Looking to build a shed soon and have been holding off for the lumber purchase. Thoughts on pulling the trigger now or holding off until the spring of 2023? I wouldn't hold off. I would be purchasing, like, I mean, if you're going to hold off, I wouldn't hold off much more than a couple of months. Like, I mean, you might be able to get away with the next couple of months of not purchasing anything, but if you need it in the next, well, I mean, if you got to wait till 2023, I don't know what the hell's going to happen by then. I mean, you might be able to find buying opportunities there, but if you're looking to buy lumber in the next year, I think your buying opportunity is now, like in the next couple of months. Just for an example, sheets of plywood, half-inch CDX, at the peak, we sold them at $80. Well, we had them for sale at $80 a sheet. Hardly anybody was buying it, but we had it for sale at $80 a sheet. Today we have CDX plywood. That same CDX plywood is now at $26, right? $26 a sheet. And I heard of other places in the country that is getting it all the way down to $20 a sheet, which is definitely a return to normal. I mean, I remember selling CDX down under $16 a sheet, but I've been selling, plywood since, for 30 years. So it's, that doesn't really count. But $20 a sheet on a half-inch CDX, or even 26, really isn't that bad. I mean, those are prices that we had experienced in the past prior to the pandemic. So half-inch CDX, 2x4 framing material, like framing a house has returned to normal, definitely returned to normal prices. The rest of the materials, not so much. So like building a house straight up, like all the materials going into it, has not returned to normal. Like windows are expensive, doors are expensive. There's still lead times to windows. It's coming down pretty dramatically, but not completely to return to normal. Doors are expensive as hell, like a lot more than I would have ever anticipated them going up, which I don't quite understand why. Most of that is a domestic manufactured product. So, the only thing I can believe on side of that is that because I know everybody's going to be like, dude, it's a money printer. No, what it has to come down to is foreign imports dramatically dropped off, right? So that led to just the domestic supply, which caused the prices to move way up. Now, I'm not going to get into it because I don't have any proof of any of that stuff, but that's what I've got learned anecdotally. Anecdotally is what I found is that to be the case. So anyway, I don't know. Let's move on. I forgot what I was talking about. I just babbled right out of my train of thought, derailed. Funny. All right. Did I get another one there? Okay. Kenny, $10. You break records. What do you mean? Lumber prices. Construction is dead. Oh, lumber prices, right. So, I don't know. Where was I going with that? Anyway, lumber prices are down right now, but this is what we're going to have. Okay, so yeah, you want to, okay, let me go back to where I was because I did lose my train of thought, but I'm back. All right. I've had too much coffee or not enough yet. I don't know yet. Okay, so prices are going to be down probably until the new year. Somewhere after the new year, you're going to find an issue in which that inventory levels have depleted. I have talked about milk curtailments for 6 months now. In fact, it's been going on well over 6 months, the milk curtailments, but they have ramped up like dramatically. They are going to tighten up the inventory when the demand for lumber has dramatically come down as much as it has. Now, Keta from Madison's Lumber Report has confirmed this exact same thing. We both are thinking come to February. February is the place that we have to look. We're not, like, neither one of us can predict the future, so we don't know, but we're looking for information in February that is going to tell us what we can see coming into the future. And if the demand starts to pick up in February, we may find a critical point right there, because we may find that homes are going to come back into the build again, right? You think about it, framing lumber's down right now. You can frame a house for the same price you could prior to the pandemic, minus maybe the labor or something like that. But the framing part of it is the return to normal. So now the idea of building a house is starting to come back for those who can afford the money. Like if you can afford cash to buy a home or build a home, right? Well, framing it right now is a return to normal. It's a good time. So this is the kind of the idea that's coming in, is that are we going to find a situation in which that the home builders are going to want to start building again, right? They start ramping up their production or start taking out permits or starting, new home starts or whatever. If that happens for whatever reason, there's not enough material in the system and the demand is inelastic. Once those contracts are signed, it's game on, right? So once the house starts, you have to go through with it. So the amount of material that is in the system right now may not meet the capabilities of that demand that has taken place. And what we learned from the last time this happened is prices will skyrocket. I mean, skyrocket. I don't know if that's going to be the case. The closer we get to February, the more we're going to know about that. Is that enough for you guys? Is that a good lumber update? All right, $2 from Joseph. Thank you very much. Where'd you go? There we go. Would a gold standard reduce inequality long term? Inequality between the rich and the poor? Maybe. But inequality amongst the people themselves? Probably not. I think a lot of people would end up a hell of a lot poorer because they don't understand how the cycles are going to work. So for those who like, if we learn from an early age, like ingrained in us from an early age exactly how the gold standard works, and so to be prepared for the booms and bust cycles that come with it, then maybe you could probably get a good gold standard to work. But even during the gold standard, when people understood the gold standard because they didn't have any other form of currency, they constantly had booms and bust cycles, and Cantillon's effect would definitely take place as the concentration of wealth would end up into the hands of just a few, depriving everybody else of money and the ability to act in commerce, and you would have a breaking of the cycle again. It would just like I don't like I believe in a hard money gold standard. I think I could handle being in that environment. I don't think that the rest of the people could. And not saying that we shouldn't go that way. I mean, let's do it. Like, if you want to go with the gold standard and everybody else is voting for that, I'm voting for it. Let's do it, man. I'm ready. But I don't think that's going to happen because I think the people would just end up like screaming at the politicians until they ended up, putting in a system in which that the politicians can hand them a bunch of money that they didn't earn. That's the way I think it's going to go. So, I mean, the gold theory is fun to think about, but what's more important to think about is what's actually going to happen. Like, is the gold standard actually going to happen? I mean, it could. I mean, there's no reason to not think about it. It's definitely part of the economic theories that we should take in so that we understand what the gold standard is. We can understand what the gold standard is for ourselves, personally, what we use the precious metals for. But as far as like a government reinstating a gold standard and then gold being like a global currency again, I don't think that'll happen. No way. Yeah. All right. I thought you were construction, like either peripheral drains, framing. I don't know. Stacy, are you talking to somebody else? I have no idea what that is. Is that English? No easy way out of this mess. No, there's no way out. That's the problem. I mean, those who are waiting for a political system to come in to save them, right? To say, man, my life sucks, man, my condition sucks, my housing sucks, my life sucks. If you're sitting like that and you're like, man, I'm gonna vote for this person because they're gonna make my life not suck anymore, you're gonna lose. You're gonna lose. You're not going to get it. Your life is going to suck even more after that because you put all your thoughts into a wishful thinking that wasn't ever going to happen. There is nobody that you're ever going to vote for that is ever going to come to save your life, ever, right? They don't do it. It's not going to happen. The only person who can do it is you, and if you don't figure that out, then you're going to remain poor for the rest of your life because you're counting on somebody else to do it for you. I don't mean to be so aggravated mean about it, but that's like what I figured out. Like, I was never counted on anybody else to do anything for me. Like, I never accepted any kind of welfare benefit, no food stamps, none of that stuff, right? And I was like broke, deadbeat, like didn't have anything, but I figured that if I could buy beer, and weed, then I don't need to be taking welfare. And I'm serious when I say that. I did not take that stuff. Even though I probably should, didn't change anything about the outcome. But anyhow, but I don't know, it's the condition in which that you put your mind into. Again, like I like the guy. I like the YouTube channel. I have been following Aaron Doughty for a while. He has a good message. I'm proud of the guy. He did a great job on his YouTube channel. And when he talks about when he started his YouTube channel, he started it like 6 months before I started mine. And when he talks about it, and the things that he was going through when he was experiencing the start of his channel, it was a lot of the exact same things that I was experiencing as well. Putting out a video every day, whether you thought anybody was going to watch or not, just knowing that if you put yourself in that frame of mind, eventually you become a YouTuber. That's what I wanted. I wanted a YouTube channel in which that I could talk economics with. I thought it would be cool if I could get paid. I didn't think I would ever make any kind of real living doing it or have any kind of real benefit from it. I don't necessarily make a living from it because I do have a day job, but it does quite well for me and it's benefited my family in an extreme way. And I think about how it is that happened, and I listen to Aaron's videos and I'm thinking that's how it happened. Aaron describes exactly what happened to me, and I wish everybody else would have the same experience because it's quite amazing when you commit to something on a certain level and you put yourself in that frame of mind. Now, one of the things that I think probably was one of the most instrumental things in changing not only like the whole, from like the drinking to the YouTube channel to everything in my life, right? And I thought about it after I heard Aaron say this, because he's talking about like your subconscious, because everything comes down to your subconscious. Once you figure out how to put things into your subconscious, then you will just simply make decisions that will lead you right down the right path. Like you can't help it. It'll just, like, your mind will just automatically just do it. So once you figure out that money doesn't suck, right, and that you do care about it, right? Because those are two things that I know a lot of people that I hear who are broke and poor. They say, I don't like money. I don't care about money. I don't need money in my life. I don't even want it. Right. Well, then I guarantee you, you're never gonna have it. Like guaranteed, never gonna get it if that's what you are telling yourself. Right. So instead, what it is you got to say, no, I appreciate money. I do want it in my life. I don't care how I get it. It's not important how much comes. I just want to make sure that I have enough that it's available to me at the times that I need it. When you have that kind of mindset towards things, guess what? You start making decisions, start getting money into your life. And those are the type of thoughts that you have to have. Now, I'm going to say it, and what it really comes down to is the first half hour of when you wake up and the last half hour before you go to bed is to make sure whatever those thoughts are, that's going to change your subconscious, right? So make sure whatever it is that you're thinking about at that time, that it's going to be the thing that you want in your life, right? You want it. And here's the thing: if you are dwelling on something right before you go to bed and right when you wake up, you're dwelling about your marriage, you're dwelling about the debt, you're dwelling about, your job, you're dwelling about all this stuff, and that's the first thing that you think about when you wake up, and it's the last thing you think about when you go to bed. I guarantee you, you're going to have all that stuff in your life, every bit of it, no doubt about it, right? If you think about how it is that your next day is going to be a profitable one, if you think about the next day being a positive one, if you think about the next day and how it's going to be a one that you're going to conduct more business, you're going to be doing more phone calls, you're going to be writing more emails, you're going to be doing more videos, you're going to be doing more engagements, you're going to be doing more stuff in a positive fashion, and you're thinking about how you're going to do those things in the last half hour before you go to bed and the first half hour when you wake up, I guarantee you your life will change because of that. Right? And that's what happened. I would think about videos before I go to bed, and I would think about videos as soon as I woke up. I became a YouTuber. Weird. Right? Okay. Today is a good day. Every day is a good day. There's never been a bad day. There's days that just wasn't as good as yesterday, but the day is just a day, and tomorrow's a new one, right? Life is a mystery. You can motivate yourself, yes, but the idea you can train your subconscious is untrue. No offense. I disagree. I absolutely disagree with that. I absolutely disagree with that. And I don't know, maybe I'm wrong. I'm no psychologist, right? Maybe maybe I just tricked myself into thinking that I have a change of subconscious belief. Maybe. I don't know. Um, I know that there is an energy that you put out, that's guaranteed that people feel it. I use it all the time in sales. I use it all the time. And it's something I didn't even know existed until like somebody started explaining it, and I'm like, oh, that's what that is. I get it now. You can snap somebody's energy right away. Like it's easy to do, and there's little tricks and just little behaviors that happen that just like make it, that just make the sale happen that much more. And it really comes down to like techniques, like how you approach different people, because some people really want to be like the decision maker on everything they do. Other people want you to make the decision for them, right? And so you have to really feel these people out, and when you do, it's just you figure out that energy, and you just start emitting it, putting it out there, and next thing you know, you're getting the sale done. It's like it's almost nothing to it once you've had a little bit of practice at it. um, Putting that into people's minds, right? Because I've watched people do sales before, and I ask them, I'm like, hey man, what are you thinking about while you're doing that sale? Like, what is it you're actually thinking about? And he goes, I don't know. I don't know. And I'm like, are you thinking about the video games you were playing last night, or are you thinking about what the customer just said? Are you thinking about their project and what they're doing? Are you engaged with their project at all? Like with them in that sale? Like obviously, if you're just ringing up a handful of sheetrock screws, it's not the same thing. But if you're working on a project with them, There's a whole different level of interaction that you do with the customer. And when you start talking to them and they're like, well, I got this dog, and like, oh yeah, really, what's the dog's name? Millie, is it a big dog? Is Millie a big dog? Like, no, Millie's a little dog. Okay, so you're probably looking to keep the little dog in your yard, so you're gonna need some sort of fence, and you're gonna need, okay, you just kind of go like that, right? So, and then every time you refer, you don't say the dog, you say Millie, right? Because now it's personal with them. And this is the little stuff that you do in order to make the sale happen. Um, I've shown people how to do that. That's subconscious thoughts. Like, you don't, like, I didn't like think, oh, remember the dog's name. Like, no, this is something that just naturally occurs, that it comes out there. And I tell people about that, and they remember, like, later. It's like, oh man, I had my opportunity to do it. I was like, don't worry, man. Just keep thinking about it. The next time the opportunity comes up, it'll just be automatic and it'll pop out. And yeah. So I think you can change your subconscious. I really do. I think everything you read, everything you absorb, your whole atmosphere, everything around you is a conditioning of your subconscious. Yeah. Or conditions your subconscious. Timbo, $2. Thank you very much for the super chat there. Boy, look at all these comments. Gosh, I'm gonna have to go back and read all these. All right, won't make you rich on 100 ounces at all. George, boy, okay, he's talking to somebody. Let's see here. There we go. I like to learn sales. I hear it's a great way to earn money if you are good at it. Some people do seem to be more natural than others. Yeah. Practice. Sales is an act, right? Sales is a straight up act. And I hate to say it to be like that, because people were like, oh, so you're just an actor? Well, no, yeah, I mean, I'm an actor. I feel like I'm an actor. I'd love to be in plays if I could, right? But when people come in, they want an energetic person. They want somebody with good, positive, high energy. If you're like, hey, what can I do for you, right? That's not good energy. That's not good energy. I can teach classes on sales, right? So first thing is like, hey, good morning, right? You don't have to be an idiot. You don't have to be like, hey, good morning, what are you about? Whatever. You don't have to go off the top. So you just, hey, good morning, whatever. Be natural with it, right? Be engaging with the person and be honest with them. It's just like, hey, good morning. What can I do for you? And be friendly and polite. The other thing is like, I used to have a lot of facial hair. I shaved a lot more than I used to, right? So I shaved pretty regularly, but I didn't used to. And I can guarantee you this thing, right? No matter how well you keep your beard trimmed, I don't care. I do not care. Your sales will go down for having facial hair. If you take the facial hair off, your sales will go up, I guarantee you. Salesmen who do sales with facial hair are killer salesmen. Absolutely killer salesmen. They're the best. If they were to shave it off, they would be like just superstars, right? But a lot of them feel more comfortable with the facial hair, and they've learned to work past it. I know that when I took to shave, it makes sales a million times easier, right? So you can work through it and you can learn sales. In fact, learning how to do sales with facial hair, then taking it off will make you that much better of a salesman, because it just makes it that much easier. But that's the other thing, is just like the presentation. Like, soon as the initial interaction with the customer has to be a positive one, and then your appearance has to be one of like credible, of confidence, of somebody who, like, you don't have to necessarily, like, I mean, I didn't necessarily like wear suits or like nice clothing or anything, but you do have to like fit the part, right? So I work a lumber yard, so it's okay to be in a t-shirt and jeans and stuff like that, because you're loading up 2x4s and stuff like that. But if you're doing sales, like if you're selling cars, you're not going to do that in t-shirts. You're not going to do it in t-shirts and jeans, right? You're gonna have to step it up a bit, so the appearance has to be appropriate. And that's the other thing. So that energetic energy when you first meet the customer, right? And having that great appearance, that personable appearance, the clean, confident and appropriate. That's really what it comes down to. And then after that, I have seen so many people who have done sales that I just shake my head at. I'm like, my God, you're never going to sell anything with that. And they do it. Like, they're able to get the sale done. And like, I could never pull off some of the, I can't even like describe how it is that they talk to the customer, because I would be so embarrassed by saying some of the words that these people use with some of their customers in order to get the sale done. But yet they do it. Like, they get it done. And so I'm like, I mean, to me, it sounds rude. It sounded like unpleasant. Like, I wouldn't want to be the customer on the other end of that, but yet, they get the money on the other side of it. So I'm like, okay, well, who am I to judge their tactics, right? Because everybody has, just like understanding the economy, everybody has to understand the economy for themselves. Everybody has to learn their sales for themselves as well. Now, I just found with me personally that if you really know the product, like you understand the product well, you can sell anything. You can sell anything to anybody. If they have even just a slight remote interest in it and you believe in the product and you can talk a lot about it, like any question they have, you have an answer for. And that's really what it comes down to, is believing in it and having confidence in that, and talking about that particular product. The moment that you're like, well, I don't, no, you're done. Over. Like, it's just like, you're not going to get the sale, like, at all. It has to be 100% the entire time. If you do not know the answer, you say, well, you know what? Actually, I haven't come across that question yet. I will definitely find the answer to this because I need to know, right? They're cool. All right, man, yep, project on. Let's keep going. I mean, so that's the way you handle those kind of situations. Yeah, I could teach classes on sales. I'm good at it. I like doing it. Confidence. All right, no UBI. Yeah, I don't know. I don't think it's coming soon, but there's, and people say, oh no, UBI. There's UBI in this area, that area. No, there's no such thing as UBI in this area or that area. That right there immediately disqualifies it from being UBI. UBI is universal. That means every single person gets it regardless. Not if you happen to be in that area, or if you happen to make that income, or if you happen to be whatever. That's not universal basic income. Universal basic income, everybody gets it, from the dude who's sitting out there and, on the streets, all the way up to the richest person in the country, right? That's UBI. And anything else other than that is welfare. It's just traditional welfare, only just manifested into a new name. Yeah. All right. Cool. I got more likes than people watching. Very cool. So if you haven't hit the like button and you're in here, go hit the like button, and we'll get even more likes. And how long have I been out here? Oh man, almost 2 hours. Gee whiz. Okay, see a lot of them. Car lots closing down. Should be good time to get into it. Getting their society, what does that say? Society safety net for need. You aren't entitled to money. No, you got to earn your place in this dang world. Yeah, lumber seems to be stagnant. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's not going to go any lower than this. Mills do not want to operate under 400 per thousand, and now it's at 380, 381, 385, something like that. I can't remember. But it's under 400 per thousand now, and you're going to find mill curtailments are going to ramp up, like especially right now, because this is a type of this is during a time of season that they would typically slow down anyway. Like, I mean, the middle of winter is usually a slowdown period for repairs, maintenance, stuff like that. So, like, firing back up into operation, if there's not a huge price demand for it, like, if it's not up 500-600 per thousand, why would mills want to ramp up production? They don't want to, right? They're gonna start curtailing development like they are. They're not gonna start, they're gonna continue. All right, do you think cars are going to get lower from here? I think already the used car market is starting to show signs of coming down. Now, how much, I don't know. I mean, I think that's probably going to be a lot more in line with the unemployment thing. So as the layoffs kick up, as the unemployment rises, if inflation continues to stay, elevated for a significant amount of time, like the next year, stays up 6, 5, even higher than that. I mean, I think the car market will really come down. People will feel the pain from that, and if they don't have a job, then they're going to get rid of their car first and get into a cheaper car. If you have a $500 car now and you've been saving money, you're going to be able to buy that nice Camaro that the guy has paid way too much money for, and you're going to get it cheap. At least that's my hope. I don't know. I mean, whether that happens or not. All right. Global recession. Let's see here. Stacy is a very ambiguous name. Huh. Okay. Duh. Okay, I get it. Thanks. All right. Carvana is done. Turns out car vending machine was a bad idea. I thought it was clever. I didn't think it was going to work, but I thought it was fun. New Age, Herman, ethics, old gospel, we shall be as God, controller thoughts, you can control desk. You are God. That was interesting. Okay. I went to Lowe's today. Building supplies are well stocked, overflowing stacks. Yeah. Simon, you sure you aren't related to Frank Vincent from the movie Casino? I'm not related to anybody. Not anybody famous or anything like that. Like, people ask me, I was just like, what family member did you have who worked at the Fed or something like that? I didn't have anything like that. Although, actually, I shouldn't say that. No, I think I'm going to keep it quiet. That's more family stuff. I'm not going to talk about it. Sorry, guys. All right. Your thoughts on the wealth effect? Yeah. That's something actually I was talking with somebody about, and they never really took that into consideration, is the wealth effect, and how that ramps up demand inside of the economy. When you have like your house prices moving up, your assets, like the stock market's going up, the bond prices are going up, the house market's going up, everything's going up, and you own these things, even if you don't sell them, you feel like you have the money, right? You're like, man, this feels pretty good. I'm sitting on an asset that's like my asset portfolio has moved, like stock portfolio or whatever, has moved up from, 400,000 up to $780,000. I'm super stoked over this over the last 10 years. I'm just super happy with this. Well, you start behaving in ways as if you had that money like in your pocket. You didn't really cash out or anything, but you do act like, as if you had cashed it out. Like you spend the money a little more easily, take the vacation, or you buy the nicer car or whatever, because it's okay. You have this portfolio that's worth all this money. And that's the wealth effect. You haven't actually gained anything until you sell, but because it went up, you feel like you feel like you're wealthy because of it. Same thing works in reverse, right? So you have this stock portfolio that went up. You may have been very, very conservative about the whole thing. It's like, no, man. I mean, I watched it go up, and I'm not going to sell out. And I never thought about how much money I have, and I didn't spend any of that money, right? But now what you see happening is you see the stock prices coming down, and you start feeling, oh no, now I'm panicking. Like I need to start tightening up. And so you start behaving in ways that starts to tighten up, like, you're not spending as much money at the grocery store on fancy things, like you're buying the peanut butter and the cheaper bread, or you're acting in ways and behaving in ways that starts to diminish the amount of sales or commerce that you're performing in, just simply because the stock market has come down and your perception of the value that you now had in that portfolio has diminished. And so now you're spending less, even though you never sold any to try and spend that money into the economy and never intended on it. Just the fact that it had diminished, now you're behaving in ways that are no longer, you're behaving like as if you need to be on a budget because you lost all this wealth that you never really had in the first place because you didn't sell. Right? The wealth effect. So yeah, that's definitely taking place. I hear it all the time. I hear all the time people saying, oh man, my stock portfolio, my retirement portfolio, my 401k, and I'm like, yeah, that happens, man. It doesn't go up forever. I mean, I know the last 12 years everybody thought it was going to go up forever, but it doesn't go up forever. All right. Wow, look at all these. Okay. Salespersons in a recession. That sounds painful to me. Hence, I worry about my guys. Yeah. I think honestly, if you can perform in a recession, you're gonna smoke it out of the you're gonna do killer outside of the recession. So like recession is the time. Like I mean, it sucks to go into it, but yeah, embrace it, man. I mean, take on the punishment. Learn to be a better salesman. Learn the better skills. I mean, if you're in like a you're failing or something like that, and you're going into debt and you can't make your payments or something like that, that's kind of painful. That sucks. But if you're making it, and it just sucks because you're not making it as good, try harder. I mean, here I am. Okay. I mean, granted, we had a little bit of shift changings that had taken place, but, going back into sales and talking about the sales thing, okay, so over the last 3 months, I've been watching the sales of myself and the other employees, and because I'm observer of everything for economic purposes and nothing else, just to be able to talk about it. I was just kind of watching to see how much sales the other salesmen are doing, which typically I don't do. Like, I mean, I ask them, "Are you busy?" or something like that, but I don't really actually follow like how many sales they're doing or how often they're doing sales or what their sales numbers are. It's like, yeah, it's just not important to me. I'm just more focused in on my own job. But I was watching the sales the other day, or the other last 3 months, and I was looking at it the other day, and I noticed that not this month, but last month, my sales really increased quite a bit. And I think about that, what it was that it was taking place at the time, and it was because of the energy that I was putting into those sales at the time that was taking place. I kind of forgot where I was going with that, but oh, that was it, because of the sales thing. So here we are, we're going into a slowing period, typically, right? The wintertime is usually a slow time for the lumberyard anyhow. But as we were slowing down and everybody was slowing down, I was able to get, for 1 month, because I was focused in on it in a more of a, I guess, geared fashion towards that energy, like being more magnetic energy, more attractive energy, whatever it is. I was watching those Aaron Doughty videos, Marnie videos, and I couldn't help but to pick up some of that information and start behaving in some of those fashions, where I thought was quite comical, because I think my wife noticed it too. But I know she noticed it. But anyway, uh, going into that, if that's the case, I mean, if we're going into a slowdown and the sales are going to slow down, you just put that energy out there and you can pick your sales up, right? So going into that time is the time that you ramp up your efforts, like, and what it is that you need to do in order to get the job done. I mean, there's never going to be a time in history that somebody wasn't going to give up money for something, right? I mean, there's never going to be a time that people aren't trading, and it's going to take a salesman to make that trade happen. Right? Just remember that. I don't want robots. A friend of mine bought a house, lived in the basement, and rented the upstairs. Yeah. I would do. I would. I mean, I thought about that one before too. Like, if I had like a duplex or something like that, I would figure out a way to get the RV onto it. Like, get an RV up onto it, or a camper trailer or something. And I don't know, like, be able to live in the RV or a camper. Like, I thought it would be cool to have a shop or something that you could pull the RV into and live in the shop and then rent out the duplex or something. I don't know. Those are kind of things that I thought about, would be like, because any way that you could actually own the place and have somebody else making the payment would be awesome. But, where do you live during the meantime? You cannot default this Ponzi, it's suicide. You cannot, deflate this Ponzi, it's suicide. Yeah. This might be late, but better late than never. Congrats on the 100 subs, Simon. Been a sub since 2.3 thousand mark. Wow. Who is that? Andrew? Thank you so much. That is incredible. That is a long ways back, and I really appreciate the congratulations on that. I mean, 100,000, it was something I never thought this channel would ever achieve, and when it finally made it, it was July, when we finally crossed that 100,000 mark. I mean, we got the silver play button, and my family, like all of us, we're so blown away by all this. Like, it was something I never thought would ever exist in my life. I mean, to be honest with you, I never thought I would ever achieve anything. Like, I thought I would just be just be broke, you know. I mean, I didn't think anything would be able to achieve, but you know, things have changed quite dramatically, and yeah, I mean, 100,000 subscribers. I mean, I don't even know, like, I didn't even like it blew my like I had a goal of like, you know, when it came to subscribers, I was like, man, it would be cool to have like 1,000 subscribers. I thought that would just be insane, not to have 100 times that many. Um, you know, all this is so new and so overwhelming. It's not like like if there was a goal, I blew past it. Like the rebel capitalist, it blew past all the goals because I wanted to speak on stage, right? I wanted to speak on stage in front of a group and I wanted to meet Ron Paul. I didn't quite meet Ron Paul, but I got to speak on the same stage as he did to the same audience. Like, I mean, that's like pretty damn cool, right? I mean, that's almost as good as meeting him. And so, like, all these things achieved, I was like, holy crap. I mean, how does this happen? Um, you know, and it's just because, you know, you actually pursue it. In, you do it honestly. Like, if I wanted, that was the thing. I think, again, what it comes down to is that subconscious thought about it. It was just like, I was just going to put out good videos, right? I wasn't going to I wasn't trying to get on stage. I wasn't trying to, you know, to do to the level of achievement that this channel has gotten to. I just said, okay, I'm not going to deny it. Like, I'm going, like, every step it was just like, hey, you're being asked to do an interview. Like, I remember the first time Mike Martins asked me to do an interview. He was like, dude, I love your channel, I'd love you to come on my show. I was so nervous. I was so nervous to talk to Mike. I'm like, man, I don't know what to say. I'm going to be so nervous up there. I'm going to be like, you know, I won't know how to answer the questions, and I'm going to be a fool, and everybody's going to make fun of me, and everybody's going to unsubscribe from the channel. And, oh, man, it's just going to be horrible, you know? And I'm like, I'm going to do it anyway. I don't care. I don't care what happens. I don't care how embarrassing it is. I don't care. I'm going to go for it. And I went and talked with him, and it was one of the best conversations I ever had, because after that, all kinds of things started happening for the channel. All kinds of people started asking me for interviews and asking, you know, my opinions and asking me to do videos, and, you know, just keep pushing it out there. And it just kept going, you know. So I think it's like being honest, and, you know, I think probably not too hung up on the outcome of it. I think that's probably another big thing. Like, I never really anticipated it going anywhere, and so if you don't anticipate it, you're not putting forth energy of want, right? And wants are needs, and needs are negative energy. So if you don't have that want, you just have like, I'm just going to try and put out the best videos, and if people watch, they watch. If they don't, okay, you know. And if you have that attitude towards it, and you try and put out good videos, I think people would watch. I think you could probably do that with just about any topic on YouTube. You know, just pick a subject that that you believe in. I mean, it doesn't matter what it is. Somebody else, there's plenty of people out there who are interested in that topic, and they want to hear you talk about it, especially if you're honest and you put out good information and you do it every day. You know, you're going to catch attention. Ask dishes every day. She does it. She does the dishes every day on her YouTube channel, does nothing else, and she has videos with hundreds of views. You know, and it's because, and I knew it would work because I made that suggestion to her. You know, I was just like, it's my wife's channel, so but I said, you know, if you're doing the dishes anyway, just do a video recording of it and post it on YouTube. I bet you it'll get views, especially if you do it every day. So that's what she did. She put that in her mind. She put it out there. She has a few videos with, like, I know one of them has over 500 views. A few others are 300 views. Just about every video gets almost 100 views now. It's like, it's kind of incredible. YouTube went out there and found people who are interested in hearing or watching dishes being done. It's not a surprise. It doesn't surprise me at all, you know. And that's when people say, oh, I can't, I don't know, I'm not like you, I can't, you know, I don't have the confidence to just come out there and just babble out there in front of, you know, hundreds of people and not feel like I'm being an idiot or something like that. Because to be honest with you guys, it does feel weird. It does feel like I'm kind of being like an idiot, but I'm used to it, so it's okay. You know, I own that. You know, I'm an idiot. That's all right. You know, I mean, you guys are cool with it. You think it's funny anyway. So, you know, if people were to do that with, you know, with their passion or whatever, I think anybody could have a YouTube channel. I really do. You know? Hey, right on. Hey, thank you, Stacy, for the $20. Well, thanks, UE. Well, yeah, thank you guys. Everybody, thanks. Everybody's thankful. You guys are so awesome. $165 in super chats. You guys are so generous. It's incredible. What time is it? Oh, it's not that late. Okay. Um, you need water or electric. Yeah. George Boyer, good luck with. Okay. And this is what happens when every part of our country runs completely on debt and truly doesn't let the free market and competition decide what the cost of goods or services truly is. We are. I guess there was maybe more to that. My $65,000 is sweet deal San Diego cost. Not sure where All Nighter's going with that one, but cool. Yes, true, but one section at a time and try to reclaim stuff. These guys are all talking. It's probably because I just babble on and I don't read all these things like I should, huh? All right. Is there another question down there? My job is in infrastructure, but it's really boring. 3D printing homes are taking over. I don't think they will. And the main reason why I feel that 3D printed homes won't take over is because 9 months out of the year, you wouldn't have them operating here in the Pacific Northwest. I'm pretty sure anyway. Like, I don't know, maybe they can operate in bad weather. Like, maybe they figured that part out. But from what I understand, like, the 3D printed homes puts a little layer of concrete, like, over the top of itself over and over again. Like, spits out this 1 inch layer of concrete, 6 inches wide or whatever it is. Right? And it keeps this spitting this concrete layer out over and over again as it builds the walls. Which is, I love the idea. I mean, I think it's a great idea as far as like being able to construct walls with very little like effort. Yeah, you just set up this machine and let it do its work. However, here in the Pacific Northwest, it rains 9 months out of the year. Like 9 months out of the year. Are you going to be able to use that machine 9 months out of the year here? I mean, that's like a lot of projects you have to knock out in 3 months. Right? That's not a lot of time. And on top of that, do you know how hard it is to deliver concrete into remote areas on a consistent basis? Like if you're going to be constantly building these 3D printed homes, that's going to demand a lot of concrete and you're going to have to truck that concrete all over the place. And it's a hell of a lot easier to deliver a bunch of materials and then let the carpenters put that material together than it is to try and deliver concrete way the hell up on a consistent basis all over the damn county. I would have to think that you would need a hell of a lot more concrete supplying vehicles and concrete facilities in order to provide that much on a consistent basis for all these homes. Not saying that it couldn't happen. I'm just saying that's the infrastructure would have to build up for that. And having that happen here in the Pacific Northwest, I don't see it. Like it might, like somewhere else, somewhere where the weather is more conducive to this, they might be, nope, this is the way it's going to go. This is the next building trend. That very well may be your view. My view is cross-laminated timber industry. High rises built out of all wood construction. That's going to be the next building trend, and it's going to kill the concrete industry. That's what I feel is going to take place. And it's not because I think it's a better product or anything else, even though I do kind of think it's a better product, but not because I think it's a better product. I think it's because politicians are going to be pushing a green movement, and they're going to use that cross-laminated timber industry as a way of gaining carbon tax credit, whatever. It's going to be like a green product, carbon conducive, whatever, because it's going to lock the carbon up in the wood, and then you're going to build these high rises out of it. Excuse me. Now, again, I don't necessarily, I don't agree. I just straight up don't agree with politicians and that whole movement and all that other stuff. Whatever, I don't care. It's not up to me to agree or disagree with it. It's the fact that it's happening and what you're going to do about it, right? Because there's plenty of people out there who are like disagreement with the whole green movement, but they're going to go ahead and profit off of it anyway because they know how and where to go, right? So I'm looking at the cross-laminated timber industry. It's going to not only be the next move inside of like building major facilities like schools and hospitals and apartment complexes and stuff like that, but they're also going to bring it all the way down to building like residential homes, like even single family homes. And now what that would look like, I'm not exactly sure. Like, but from what I understand, like this is the where they're wanting to head to. And you have to think about it, like how easy these things are to put together. Like when you're putting together most constructed buildings, you're taking a supply of building materials and then you cut and assemble all these materials into place. The cross-laminated timber industry, all those pieces are built to fit off-site at a factory, and they're delivered and put into place immediately. There's no cutting and like assemble. There's assembly, but there's no like cutting and fabricating on site. It's all done off site and then assembled on site. So I feel that that's going to be the next building trend, not 3D print. But that's just my opinion, right? I mean, I don't, what do I know? I mean, I'm just in the building industry, supplying and dealing with and talking with and covering all angles of, but I don't know. Do you fish? Man, I used to fish a lot, and I'm going to get back into fishing again. I'm going to quit my job and go fishing. I'm going to go fish with all-nighter. That's what I'm going to do. All right. My bathroom is 180 square feet. Okay. That's like 180 square feet. That's like 10 by 18. Jeez. That's huge. All right. Let's see here. You're more than welcome. Okay. Can I live in my Airstream on my land in Oregon? I don't know. I don't think you can live in town in Astoria, but I know people who are living in travel trailers right now on land. Yes. I know people who are doing that exact thing. All right. Thoughts on digital currency? Yep, I like digital currencies. If you're talking like digital currencies like Bitcoin and stuff like that, I'm totally down for it. I like the idea of Bitcoin. I like the idea of being able to do transactions with anybody in the world at any given time, so long as you have internet access and there's nothing that anybody can do to stop you from doing it. I love that idea. Now, whether or not it works, I don't know, but I like the idea of digital currencies. Central bank digital currencies, I'm not a big fan of, although I do think that they're going to take place. And I'm not here to argue whether or not it should or shouldn't happen. I don't really care about that argument. My argument will be whether or not it actually does happen and what you're going to do about it. I think they are going to happen, and I think people should get prepared to deal with the central bank digital currencies. For one, get the insurance policy of gold and silver if you haven't done any of that, and then two, learn as much as you possibly can about digital currencies so that you can protect yourself when it comes into the future, because it's happening. It's going to happen. Come fish with me in the Rockies, Simon. Hey, that sounds fun. Hey, Lord Humongous, I didn't realize that was you. That sounds like a good time, man. It's good seeing you here. All right, cryptocurrencies are central bank currencies. They always have been, simply because they are processed by the SWIFT system. Every financial transaction in the world goes through the SWIFT system. No, Durango, you are wrong. You are absolutely wrong about that, Durango 95. Durango's been with the channel since the beginning, so he's my friend. But Durango's definitely my friend. I've never met him personally, but he's been with the channel since the beginning. But no, Durango, you're wrong. All crypto transactions that are sold, like if you get out of cryptos, that goes through the SWIFT system, right? So if you are doing a transaction in Bitcoin from one wallet to another and not going through exchanges, like going through Coinbase or one of the other crypto exchanges, but you are using the Bitcoin protocol, that definitely does not go through the SWIFT system. No, it doesn't. Now, the moment that you cash out of it, the moment that you want to take your Bitcoin to cash, or you take your Bitcoin to a website that says, here, plug your Bitcoin in here and buy this product, most likely the website is not taking Bitcoin itself and putting it in their own wallet. What they are doing is they are taking Bitcoin in payment and immediately transferring it into cash and accepting cash in their bank account. That, I would agree with Durango, is a SWIFT system type of transaction. But two people transacting on the Bitcoin protocol from one wallet to the other has nothing to do with any government, any agency, any bank. It has nothing to do with any of those people. All right. Okay. Wow. I knew people living in RVs, some, but not that bad. I know people who are choosing to do that to save money. And some people because they have to. Well, I'm back. Okay. Some people because they have to, but a lot of people, I know some people who have chosen to do that, and they are, saving a lot of money by living in RVs. Now, I see most people that I see living in RVs are homeless. Don't have a place to be with them. That sucks, right? Now, that type I can believe, but as far as like the idea of living in an RV on your own land, oh hell yeah, man. Absolutely. All right. No. What did Durango say here? No, I am 100%. He's 100% correct. Okay. I am 100% correct about that. Is processed through the SWIFT system. Look it up, buddy. Everybody for about 10 years has tried to act like these super secret outside of the system currencies. Oh, good Lord. No, I will. You are not 100. Okay, never mind, Durango. Let's go argue about silver. I'd rather argue about silver with you about silver instead. All right. Tiny homes are better for year-round living, better insulation in non-RV fixtures. Yeah, that's for sure. Do not trust the system. Yeah, don't fight. I like this channel. Yeah, Stacy, we're not fighting. Durango and I, we go way back. We're years into this, right? This is the way Durango and I communicate. We need communication therapy. All right. You missed my comment. I'm sorry, AH. Let me see. Where is it? How far back is it? AH. Jesus, I don't see it. Oh, there it is. The same. That's all I see is the same. And you're gonna have to say it again. I'm sorry, man. All right. Not far. You say not far, fair. All right. RVs are brutal to winter in. Yeah, I can really believe that. I can, especially if it's like freezing temperature kind of stuff. But like I know, like a friend of mine, she has a little wood stove in hers, so she can offset like propane and stuff like that by burning wood, and she has like it's not much of a wood stove, so you have to constantly load it up. But there's ways of being creative about it, and the money you save in you know maintenance on a house, you could probably put in heat. All right. The wise man has no mortgage or rent Ponzi payment. Yeah, that's true. All right. The homeless in the RVs just move every couple of days throughout our neighborhood and parks. They have been demanding the city to give them land to park on by passing ordinances. Yeah, I don't know what happened here because we like behind where I work, there was a lot of people camping out, even like setting up tents and whatever. I don't know what they did here in the city, but like have not seen nearly the amount of homeless like that I once did. Now, again, I'm just kind of talking about like where I would like behind where I work. But just in general, I haven't seen nearly as many of those broken down or breaking down RVs or cars or whatever as frequently as I have. So I don't know if they just found another place to be or what. What time is it? Man, it's getting late. Y'all want to keep hanging out or what? If you don't believe me, call the bank and tell them that you're a business and interested in accepting cryptocurrencies and ask them how they want. Dude, I just admitted that, man. That's why I'm not. Listen, I already said it. If you are doing a transaction peer to peer with somebody else through the Bitcoin protocol, wallet to wallet, that does not use the SWIFT system. okay? The moment that you try to get cash, try and transfer that to a dollar, right? Or even try and buy something from a website, then yes, I would agree with you. No, you don't go to a bank and say, I want to do business in cryptocurrencies, because if you go to a bank, you're going to be doing banking in money, in dollars. That's not doing, you wouldn't even talk to the bank. Why would you go to the bank? Right? That's what I have to ask you, Durango. Why would you even go to the bank if you're going to be doing cryptocurrencies? You wouldn't need a bank anymore because you're only going to accept cryptocurrencies. You don't need a bank. Yeah. Hey, Jake Northwest, $5. Thank you so much. Please look here. In worldwide debt is many times greater than the worldwide GDP. Do we need a worldwide jubilee to usher in worldwide central bank digital currencies? Do we need, I mean, okay, so the idea of a debt jubilee, like you just, like, everybody's debt just disappears, is that the idea behind it? Because I've heard people talk about this debt jubilee, and I just don't think it's going to happen. I mean, unless you want to see a bunch of old, like, people, retiree people, just suffer with no way or means of providing for themselves because their entire retirement is based off of somebody else's promise to pay. So a debt jubilee where everything just kind of like disappears and nobody pays any debts and you start over again, I don't see it. Like, I don't see it happening. Even on a partial scale, I still don't see it happening. What I do see happening is that people are going to go into some really suffering pain and they're going to beg the government to do something about it. And the government's going to say, hey, we got the solution. You're real hungry, right? You're real hungry. Well, I tell you what, why don't you take the central bank digital currency card? Go ahead and start using that, and you're going to be able to eat. And the people are going to be like, okay, thank you, government, for taking care of business. Give me my central bank digital currency, and I won't ask any more questions. And that's how it's going to go down, right? I mean, it's not, that's how I see it, you know? And it's not, I mean, I think people are still going to be in debt. I think they're going to end up owing. I mean, I don't know what's going to happen with the student loan debt stuff, but I think that people are going to get suckered. I think a lot of people are believing, or they're going to keep this carrot dangling. I think is really more about it. It's just like keep the idea that they're going to have their student debts like kind of wiped out so that they'll like continue on with like that idea that it's okay for the kids to take out more debt because the government's going to take care of business for them. I'm okay with making the purchases that I am because the government's not going to come after me for my student loan. So I got the wealth effect coming from it kind of thing. I think they're going to keep playing that kind of game. I don't know if they can actually get rid of the student loan debts. That's what decentralized means. And I'm sorry, Durango, we're arguing. I got to move on. All right. Hey, there's another one. Jonesy, thank you for the $2. What is that? Oh, for the fist bumps. Cool. Very, very cool sticker. All right. Do you make good money? No. No. Like I want to make like good money, like serious kind of money, like money that is like ridiculous kind of money. I make good money comparatively to what I used to make, but when I hear people talk about how much money they make, and I'm like, damn, like my wife and I have day jobs and I have YouTube and I still don't make that much money. Like, I mean, people tell me, like people I know how much money they make and they still don't make as much money. I don't make as much money as they do, but I make a hell of a lot more than I used to. And if you think about like two people who have pretty decent day jobs, like, I mean, I work at a lumberyard, but I've been working here for 12 years. Wow. It's been 12 years? 10 years. I've been working here 10 years, and I've been in the business for 30, so I'm pretty good at what I do. My wife, she's like, I don't know how she does it, but she's a damn rock star. Anywhere she works, she just immediately starts rising right to the top because she works the place like she owns it. That's how she does it. It's because anywhere she has ever worked, she always works like she owns the place. And so she immediately starts moving up into management positions right away. So we both have we both do well at our jobs, but still, like, we live in a very affluent town now, and didn't used to be, but now it's like a ritzy place and it's all trendy and it's expensive to live here and the gentrification is crazy. So you have to earn a lot of money if you want to be here. And even with the YouTube channel, it's still like I wonder how the hell people do it. It's like, you know, how do the other people do it when they don't have a YouTube channel? Because I sure as hell couldn't make it without the YouTube channel. And now with the YouTube channel, it's just good. You know, it's just like now life is good. It isn't like, you know, awesome. Like, hey man, I got like, you know, I get to go and do whatever the hell I want now. It's not even close to something like that. But I don't I don't run debts. I get to pay bills. That's pretty cool. You know, I have a little bit of a savings. That's neat. You know, I get to take my family out on weekends to the Chinese garden. That's awesome. You know, I mean, so, you know, that's good. So that's good money, right? I mean, that's good with money. But as far as like making killer money, no, I'm gonna try and figure that out. That's why I'm saying the channel has gone stagnant. And I feel like I need to do something in the course or a book or speaking engagements, workshops. Like I'm thinking online workshops is a really fun one to do. Like maybe through like Zoom meetings or something like that. Like I think conducting like a private, like having a Zoom meeting where it's, you know, you have to pay to get into it, but it'll be like a very limited amount of people and have like experts in there that you could really have like a breakdown conversation, really kind of grind into some of the nitty gritty of some stuff and really get a better understanding of you know, some of the different parts of the economy that maybe have been troubling you or something like that, and have like, you know, these paid Zoom meetings or something like that. You know, I'm just trying to figure out ways to basically I'm trying to figure out a way that I can quit my job, right? That's what I'm going to try and do. But I like my job, and my job benefits me a lot in a lot of ways, like health benefits, retirement plans, something to do for 8 hours a day, which is like, you know, really something I need in my life, you know, is like a direction to say, hey man, you got to go and do this for 8 hours, you know. Um, you know, I don't like, I could do YouTube for 8 hours a day, but I don't want to do YouTube for 8 hours a day. Like I want to do YouTube like I'm doing it, you know, do my studies, put out a video every day, come out and do, you know, a live stream, you know, once or twice a week. That's the kind of effort that I want to put into the YouTube channel. What I do for like the Uneducated Economist, like the speaking engagements for me personally is growing and becoming like a maybe a business of some sort. I'm not even sure if that's like a consultation business. I'm not like, I don't feel like I do consultation kind of work, but do something like that. Anyway, these are just some of my ideas, and I don't know if you got any ideas, I'd love to hear them. Yeah, if you wood, talk wood. Yeah, I love talking wood. I could talk like, you know, people want to know, like, I mean, all the way down to like, how do you get the best deal on building supplies when dealing with a, you know, with a contract, with not only the contractor, but maybe dealing with the building supply center or something like that. You know, there's all kinds of like, I mean, I know there's a lot of confusion that people have. Like, I mean, I've even seen people who I thought were like what I thought were professional businesses and have like, you know, the owner of this business come in, and I'm looking at it, they got flashy trucks and logos and the hat and the jacket and all the it looks all the part, and then comes in and is confused on how to order a window. Like, you know, he's asking me like what sizes windows come in, and I tried to tell him, I was just like, they don't really come in sizes, you just order them whatever size you want and then they make them. And he was just like kind of confused by this, and I said, just measure the opening of what you want the window to fit into, and I'll make sure that window fits in that opening. And he was blown away. He's like, oh, it's that easy? And I'm like, yeah bro, it's that easy, man, no problems. And from that point on, like, it was real, like working with him was no problem. He'd bring me a list of like windows. Here you go. I need these ones. I need these ones. And I'm like, how the hell did you get this far? Not know how to order a window, you know? But maybe he just never did it before. I don't know. Maybe he worked for somebody else, or I don't know, but he didn't know how to do it. And I explained it to him, like just one sitting. We did one window package. And from that point on, he knew everything about ordering a window. He had no problems with it. I don't know about everything, but he had no problems ordering windows from me after that. So. Um, but yeah, this is like, I think of all kinds of things that I could. All right, Jake Northwest, thank you again for the $5. If the wood debt is bigger than the if the world debt is bigger than the world GDP, won't the current system fail? Yeah, absolutely, it will. In fact, it's going to fail if they don't take it into a central bank digital currencies and go negative. I'm almost positive of that. They were able to buy some time with the pandemic, and the use of the special purpose vehicles and all the other crap that went into it, and the lifting of interest rates. Because now the Federal Reserve has the Fed funds rate up to that 5%. So now when the next recession kicks in, they can drop it that 5% and stimulate the economy. Now, that's typically what they would want to do during a recession, is to drop the Fed funds rate around 5%. So they probably have it for the next recession, right? They may not have it completely. They're probably going to have to come up with some pretty creative things to deal with, but they have that Fed funds rate to drop that 5%. So they pretty much got their ammo that they need for the next recession. Again, they're going to come up with all kinds of other stuff, and it's not enough, but it's what they were looking for. After that, any kind of economic downturn or something, they're not going to have the ability to drop the interest rates because they're going to be at the lower bound of zero, right? And what is it that they're going to use to try and stimulate the economy? The great financial crisis had the too big to fail. It was going to be a systemic failure if they didn't bail out the banks, right? So they had to bail them out. During this last recession, we had the pandemic, right? Everybody was told to stay home, don't go to work, don't make your payments, don't do anything, right? Except for spend a bunch of money that we're giving you. Here's a stimulus. They're not going to have that next time. They're not going to have the pandemic, and as far as a great financial crisis, they might have something like that, but I mean, it doesn't go over very well with the people. That's how they were able to bail out the corporations with the special purpose vehicle, and that way they didn't actually have to go and say, hey, we got to bail out the corporations, right? Because everybody hates it when they do that during the recession. Everybody loses their job, and then the corporations get bailed out. This time, they didn't have to do it. The next recession, they're going to be like, oh, yeah, well, you corporations are on your own, okay? Even though they already bailed them out with the special purpose vehicles years earlier, right? So what is it the Fed is going to do, right? I don't know. I don't know what it is that they can do when the next recession kicks in and they don't have the Fed funds rate back up to 5%. I'm just assuming that it's going to go into a central bank digital currency, cash will get pulled out of the system, and negative interest rates will be implemented. That's what I think is going to happen. All right. So, yeah, if they didn't have, but that's, to answer your question, yes, it would fail, right? Yes, it would fail, because there's not enough money to pay for the debts. Talk the wood. I already talked the wood. Everybody already heard me talk the wood. All right. Timbo, thank you for the $2. Man. You guys are so generous. I thank you so much for this. You make this fun. I'm out here like almost 2.5 hours, and it doesn't even feel like it. Yeah, about 750,000 or more, just over broke. I rest my case. Yeah. So, you know, I don't know. Like, what do you do to make money in this this environment, in this economy? I mean, there's so many ways to do it. Like, you know, I just think about all the ways online to earn money. I think about my friend who does like DoorDash or whatever. Like, came into town, dropped her son off for a class, and while she was in town for an hour, ran like $10 for DoorDash or something. It made $10 just hanging out in town waiting for her son to get done with the class. It's just like, man, that is awesome. Just go make money, right? Can you do that? Can you just go out and not wait for 8 o'clock to roll around so you can go and hit a clock, right? But can you just go out there and just earn money? Just figure it out. And that, it doesn't matter how much it is. Just be able to figure out how to do that. Put that in your subconscious mind when right before you go to bed and right before you wake up. Think about how it is that you can just go out there and just grab some money somehow. Like for me, I can just go out and put out a video. I know I do have to just go out and put out a good video. If I put out a shitty video, then I don't get good money off of it, and then it's no point into it. But I have to put out a good video. But the point being is that I have something in my life that I can just go out there and attempt to earn money with. You know, if you have a business that you can just go out there and attempt to do something with it, you know, whether it's, even if it's like a service business, and, you know, doing handyman service. If you don't have a job to do right there, go out there and hustle up business. Go out there and spread your name around or something like that. There's all kinds of ways to make money in this world. And it's just, it surprises me more people don't do it. Most people get stuck in the 9-to-5 mentality. Like, they get a job and they're so drained mentally from their job that they just don't have any more thoughts for taking on anything else. And then if they have like a family life on top of it, you know, then that's like, now they're occupied with family. occupied with their job, and then that's it. They don't want to take on any more thoughts about like what it is that they need to do in order to excel and make more money, or to be able to figure out a way to make money when you're sleeping, or to just go out there and just grab it. Those are the things that you need to figure out in life. Jake, thank you again for the $5. Are all exotic investment vehicles and bubbles like mortgage-backed securities the reason world debt is bigger than world GDP? Um, the world debt is big. Like, I don't know. I mean, to be honest with you, like the debt is so huge now. Like, I don't look at it as something that is like going to be reversed or comparable or something like that. It's more like just the case of is or isn't. It's like how much are you into it or out of it. Um, there was a time of surplus. Like people actually used to use the word surplus. Like that doesn't exist anymore. There is no more surplus. It's all about how much is owed. And it's not a matter of how much you owe to get out of it or how much this country needs to owe to get out of it. It's for how long do you owe, right? Because you can either owe for a short time or a long time. But it's not a matter of whether or not you're in it or out of it. It's how long and then how much. And that's really what the world has come to. And then as it goes into negative territory, it's going to be all that way. Like nobody's going to understand anything outside of being in debt. Like straight up slavery, you know? That's what it's going to be like. People won't recognize it because they're going to have things in their life that they enjoy. They're going to be able to sing and dance and do whatever. But they're not going to realize like the overall like pressure that is constantly on them because they will have been born into, raised and die generations of this, of a constant debt system. Like no idea of a surplus, like none of that. And that's what negative interest rates is going to produce. Because like right now, we do have an idea of savings. There are people out there who understand being out of debt and what being out of debt is like. But can you imagine generations of people who have no understanding of that? It's not a matter of being out of debt. It's all about how much you owe and for how long. Right? Correction, you want to... Where was that? Where did I go? I lost your comment. Oh, there it is. You want to provide value without requiring physical presence. Well, yeah, that's for sure. But that really only comes in a few ways. Like you can either have a business that you hire people, but then you're going to have to put in a little bit of effort on a regular basis in order to have those other people providing you with it. You can put in like I do, like a little bit of effort for videos, but you also have to be pretty consistent with that and maintain it and, be constantly putting out videos so that, you can keep engaging with the audience. I mean, if I just stopped making YouTube videos, then people would just stop watching, I mean, that's just all there is to it. So I have to, constantly be putting them out. But the neat thing is I put out a video and, all throughout the night, trickles in, a little bit of money as people are watching it. And same thing with all the rest of the videos that I have out there. So the more I do it, the more those little videos are trickling in pennies, the more I put out. So it's like having a residual income, the passive income that comes from having a YouTube channel. Those are the type of things that you're looking for. I don't have to hire anybody. I don't have to maintain a stock of anything. I don't have to, worry about fluctuations in fuel costs or something like that, input cost, anything, those things I don't have to worry about. And that's the nice thing about having the channel, and also keeping it as simple as I have. That way I don't have to invest a lot of effort into studios and equipment and, editing and stuff like that. I just kept everything as simple as I possibly could for that very reason. I listen to people and they have rental incomes and they talk about how much money they make off the rental income. And I think, man, that's pretty cool, that you have this like basically this piece of property that just spits cash at you every month, and you don't really have to do much. Well, then I hear about like, they had the tenant move out and they trashed the place. They had to do all these repairs. They have to maintain it that, every year, and, a bunch of effort that goes into that. And it's not like it's not really complaining or anything like that, but I'm thinking, man, that's a lot of work, you know, like most of my work is done from a recliner. Like I sit in my recliner and read articles and do research and stuff, and that's where most of my work is done. And I think about how much effort goes into having a rental income. You know, it's way more than I put into trying to do YouTube videos. I mean, physically, it's a lot more. I don't know about mentally. I mean, mentally, I'm constantly trying to put a video together, but you know, that's just the difference. You know, that people take when when they're trying to figure out how it is that they're going to pursue the money out there. So, I mean, who was it? I think it was Andrew Tate that I was listening to. Um, Talking about 4 ways to make money, and you can work for somebody else, trade your time for money, um, and then you can hire people, use their time to make you money, or you can invest in like a business or something like that. Use like a business's time to make you money, or you can make money yourself, right? Like not just working your time, but if you have information. And then if you have information and you have an audience. So if you have information and you have attention, then you can make money from that, right? And YouTube is a perfect example of that, right? Information and attention. So you can get money from that, those two things. Well, when it comes to information and the spreading of information, it's almost like, unless it's like an active live speaking like this, it's almost guaranteed to be a passive income that you're pushing towards. Like there's almost no other way of doing it. Like you create the information and then you put it out there for other people to find or see or buy or whatever it is that they're doing. And then after you have put the information out, the money starts to trickle in, the revenue starts to happen. So really, it's that I find to be by far the best way to make money. Now, I do sales, and I can tell you that there is some jobs in sales, especially if you're doing commissions, like you can make a lot of money. You can do a lot of money in sales, being a salesman. Like a buddy of mine who does lumber sales, who's not too far away from the position that I do at my current location, but he works at an entirely different store, an entirely different place. But I mean, he made like, between his normal pay and commissions, he did like $250,000, like some ungodly amount, like something that just blew me away. And I didn't even believe him at first, right? But he actually proved it to me. I was just like, I'm like, holy crap, man. Like, I don't even know how, like, I'm trying to fathom that much money, considering that the two of us stood at the same place one day. Like, I mean, we were both working a lumber yard together. We were both driving forklifts out of the yard. When that yard shut down, he went off to other yards and I went to work for wherever I went to work for, a construction company, I think at the time, but I was just like, wow, man, that is really impressive. But really, there's no better way of making money than the spreading of information to people who are watching. Like that seems to be by far the best way of earning money. Uh-oh, looks like I'm gonna have to go. I'm down to 5% on the power. It's finally gonna come up with a reason that I would have to bail out. Let's get these super chats done. All right, what will be the purpose of commercial banks when they roll out the central bank digital currencies? There probably won't be much of one. I would imagine that it's going to take a long, long time to get the cash out of the system, because people aren't going to want to use the central bank digital currencies. They're going to stick to cash, and then they're going to protest, and they're going to stay using cash as long as they possibly can. But what they're going to do over time is they're going to start making it difficult to use cash. They're going to charge you a fee to deposit, and they're going to charge you a fee to withdraw that cash, forcing you into the central bank digital currency. And once they've done that, then everybody will just start behaving with it, and not question its use or anything. Did I miss a bunch of super chats up there at one point? Let me go back up and look real quick before I bail out of here. I saw that. See, I don't get that nice little screen like you guys have at the top where you can just see the super chats rolling across the top of the screen. I actually got to scroll through the comments to see them. Let me go back to the bottom here. Let's see. Okay. Sergi, was it Sergi Sobs? $1.99. Thoughts on making a Discord? Um, no, I guess I hadn't thought about it. I should. I'll think about it. But no, I hadn't. Jake, again with the $2, man. Thank you so much, man. You're loading me up here. Let's live Q&A in Astoria. I'm in Vancouver. Okay, man. Okay, I'm working on something right now, and you might get your opportunity. I'll let you in a little bit more once I start down the actual path of doing this particular project. Basically, it's a speaking engagement that I'm going to try and work on, but I don't want to give too many of the details yet because I don't really know what they are. So I don't want to like get ahead of myself. I really want to do this thing professional, and if I do it right, I want to get a place, and I want the venue and everything. I want like hundreds and hundreds of people to show up to this particular speaking engagement that I want to do. And with it, I'm just for the idea of it, I also want to do like a after speaking engagement, do like an after meetup, and at that point do like a roundtable discussion or something like that, and have like another hour-long meetup or something like afterwards. But that's kind of like the initial idea. Hey, right on. I got you guys back. Cool. Well, anyway, I'm going to let you go because I got just enough power on my phone to turn the thing back on so I can end the live stream. But I really appreciate everybody hanging out and talking with me. And I will let you know more about the speaking engagement once I get a little bit more information about it. But I am planning on doing something like that within the next 6 months is what I'm hoping to do. All right. Good night, everybody. Uneducated Economist. You let me know.